Well, there goes the neighborhood. I could keep that going for a long time because what else do you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, but watch this video cast, this Facebookio podcastio programmio of the stream that we call Dave's Gone By. We are live, and we are alive still, on this March 21st, 2020, a day or two after the beginning of spring. Doesn't it feel like springtime, ladies and gentlemen? Doesn't the world feel full of hope and possibilities and joy and happiness at the moment? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, but for 3 hours, we're both going to take you away from everything that's been going on and plunge ourselves right deeply into it at the very same time. It's called Dave's Gone By. We've been doing it since October of 2002. It's a mix of humor and culture and talk and interviews. We have an amazing guest coming up a little later in the program that we'll be talking to, the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Saul Solomon. We'll have all our usual, I'll tell you about our stuff. Let me do our intro music first, and then we'll get to it. And what we're getting to, of course, is Dave's Gone By.
Good morning. There goes the neighborhood.
And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
We got David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island Arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
David on the do you see
well,
David?
Here goes the neighborhood. Well, first of all, David of my old high school has joined. So yes, is it David G? There?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, so welcome to Dave. We're trying to figure out the watch party thing, as well as those of you who are watching this show right here on the Facebook page, Dave's Gone By. And welcome to Seth. Oh my gosh, Seth, with whom I went to, I think it was the O'Neill
See, they
Center?
changed it. Now it's called Share in a Group.
Ah, okay.
So I'm going to say my friends. Let's see.
Well, welcome all the folks who are watching all over the world, all over our shutdown planet, to this new edition of Dave's Gone By. We are live, and it is Saturday morning, March 21st, 2020. We're here from 9 until noon or thereabouts, possibly for eternity or until we all die in a couple of weeks, whichever one happens first.
See, they changed it. Now you have to make a group, and you can share it with the group.
Cool.
So if I can't do it now, they'll have to make a group and then share it. I just
we'll try that next time. Welcome to Jim, by the way. Welcome to all the folks who are watching. So here's the deal. This is a program that we've been doing for 17 and a half years.
Oh,
and yes.
Now it says have friends who should see the video, share it with them. That's good.
Oh, good. Excellent. Share the video with everyone, because what else are they doing right now? They're sleeping in, which I totally understand. I don't blame them. They're not going to synagogue on a Saturday morning. Not that so many of my friends are going to synagogues, but what else? Nobody's planning to go to a matinee today. No one's off going to ice skating in Central Park or Woolman Rink or whatever the hell people who aren't afraid of ice skating do on a day like this, a beautiful day like this. You're home, man. You're looking for books to read, stuff to watch on your computer, porn to surf. I don't know. But you're here. You might as well stay with me for 3 hours of talk and fun and weirdness and strangeness. For example, every Saturday on Dave's Gone By, we do a Colorado Limerick of the Damned, because my wife and I lived in Colorado up until the past year for about a decade. And so it came into my mind to start writing these little poems about all these little places in Colorado and doing a limerick about each one. And we've been doing one a week for the past couple of years, and we have another one today. We're going to Silt
So
Colorado.
what it does now is it shares the story on my timeline and it shares it with all my friends.
Oh, fantastic.
It's a watch group, not a watch party anymore.
Great. A
They
watch
changed
group.
the
Share
feature.
the show with your friends.
Yeah.
And this goes for everybody out there. So our Colorado Limerick of the Damned we'll be doing. We'll also have our today, yesterday quiz. We'll thank hearts and the thumbs up from Joyce. Not sure who that is. And yeah, our today, yesterday quiz, which is a lot of fun. That is a trivia quiz. Since today is March 21st, we know that there have been zillions of March 21st before this
You
one.
know what they said,
What?
David? We should listen to, was it Brutus or Caesar? Beware the Ides of March.
That's the 17th or the 4th? Which one was it?
Yes, I think it's around St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, wow, yeah. Well, that was the St. Patrick's Day was canceled. We'll get into all of that. And welcome to Warhol. Warhol's here with us Saturday. Welcome to him, too. And thank you.
Look, I'm not giving you those. Somebody's giving you
That
thumbs
might
up.
be from, and Tony's here. No, those came up from Tony, I think.
Tell Tony, I liked your picture and story about Broadway. Tell him.
Yeah, Joyce is
Good
saying,
job,
I mean, I think he can hear you.
You tell
yeah.
him. You tell him.
Well, Joyce just said, Tony, we saw your story about the whole Broadway seasoning, and thank you so much for that.
That picture was fantastic.
Great picture. Great picture. Welcome to Scotty. Oh my gosh. Scotty is a press agent, and she operates mostly, oh, poor thing.
What? Broadway?
She lives in Italy. So Scotty really have to do
Well, I heard
for the
that
next month.
The Lombardy region, was it Lombard? One of the regions got hit. Yeah, let's hope she's okay.
What is it like? Because New York is bracing for the same thing, Scotty. If you want to chime in by
I know.
text or message, what's the difference over there? I mean, can you literally not leave the house for any reason? Can you still go out and get a grocery or go to the doctor or the proctologist? Because Rabbi Saul is specifically asking about that one. Can you? What are your essential services in Italy that you are still prone to? And Tony just sent a message saying stay safe. I'm wearing 3 condoms as we speak.
Oh,
I'm not going to show you
Thank
because I want to keep our audience here. And besides, I don't have a telephoto lens to show us down there. But, stay safe, everybody.
Jingle Hopper. Tell him the Jingle Hopper story.
Oh, I've told this before.
I
Do
love
you want to say it?
I love the way you say it.
This goes back a couple of years. And he has nothing. It's apropos of absolutely nothing.
No, your
However,
condom. You said about condom.
oh, about condom use. So I'm in the bathroom at, I think it was either the Egg and I or one of those breakfast places in northern Colorado. I'm looking good. Yeah,
Sounds like that, but that's how
it's perfect. It's perfect. And welcome to Michael, by the way. So I'm in the bathroom doing my, or finishing doing my thing, or in the middle of doing whatever I'm doing in this bathroom in a breakfast place in northern Colorado. And I overhear, so I must have been in a stall, this man, presumably, hopefully talking to someone else, hopefully talking to a child, his child, and he says, and he's teaching the child how to use a urinal. I am, again, presuming. And the man tells this child exactly what you think he would tell a child to in order to use properly a urinal. And he says to the kid, now be sure to hold your jingle hopper. That was a phrase he used, hold your jingle hopper. Well, gosh, old Dave had a hard time keeping his laughter down in the stall.
John Jacob.
And I was very, very, I was pleased when I opened the stall and I saw that it was a man and a child who were talking to each other that way, and it wasn't any other combination of human being. But that has become a thing with me.
Well, it's such a sweet way of saying, penis. It's
Yeah,
very nice.
it's a way of grab your dick, pointing at the thing, and no, it's hold your jingle hopper. There we go. It's lovely, isn't it? And so I say that to all of you in this trying, troubled time. Hold your jingle hoppers, and then sanitize afterwards. And I say that to Tony and Scotty, and well, Scotty doesn't have one, Michael and Jeffrey, and all the folks who have already tuned in and are going to be tuning in to Dave's Gone By this Saturday. So yeah, we've got our Today, Yesterday quiz, a trivia quiz about March 21st in history. Our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. We'll have a short, real short, inside Broadway segment, because there is a little bit of stuff to talk about the Broadway theater.
Yeah.
Most of it bad news. But there you go.
Could you do some Broadway with finger puppets?
I don't have finger puppets, but Potato can help us.
Okay, yes.
Potato is with us. That is with us every Saturday. Welcome to Martha. Potato, say hello to Martha. Hello to Martha. Well done, Potato. That's great. He's learning. He's getting accustomed to being on camera. What's that circle thing up? Oh my God, I'm on! Oh, I'm on! Don't show me! Oh, show my good side. Show my profile. There we go. No, it's my bad side. Don't do this. Okay.
David, look.
Temperamental.
Here he's getting to. You got the tech team coming in.
Yeah, because if you're trying to get through these times and order things online and order things in other places, you're probably going to be talking to people like this. Either you can get someone from Pakistan or Pradesh province somewhere that you can't even decipher, or you might be talking to the tech team. There's the operator here who's going to help you out. Do we want to make a call to the...
They're the personal shoppers.
That's right. We're from InstaSpud, and we call they're from Fresh Directions, where you can buy online, and if you need help,
exercise while you're working.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on. Oh, I'm exercising.
Yes.
Well, okay. Oh, all right. That's enough exercise for me. I'm a middle-aged Jew. That's about all the exercise I can take.
You're trying this.
But we've been trying. Oh, my hernia. Okay, I can't do it. Oh, Lordy. Oh, I heard something pop. Oh, yes. So here's the deal. We did. Last night, we tried ordering. Oh, it feels good.
Watch, it's going in your cup.
It's just went into my beverage. Thank you, dear.
Why is your yellow beverage orange?
Oh, because, we have several people living in this house. My wife and I are staying with my parents. And we have our dog, and we have all the potatoes. So, if you can see, instead of using the toilet, I've been urinating into my mug.
Somebody wrote, Scotty wrote, Dave, it's the same here as in New York and Colorado. You can go to food and the pharmacy for medicine. That said, Rome is a ghost town, and despite my name, I don't have a jingle hooper. Say that Scotty is jingle hooper free.
So it is jingle hooper free at the moment, and hopefully virus free as well, Scotty. And thank you, by the way, for typing that in.
I gave her a like. Tell her thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. But also, then tell us how many people around you actually have this friggin' disease. I mean, I think 1,000 or 1,400 people in Italy have died. Millions of people living there. I don't know how many tens of thousands have the virus or are actually sick or affected by it.
Ask her if you can still get gelato.
That is so important. Can you get gelato and the mozzarella that they really nice there in Italy? But honestly, I mean, is it not an overreaction because we want to get ahead of this stupid curve thing? But is it really, are we saving that many lives by distancing this way? Are we really?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to going about our normal business with masks and washing hands very frequently. That's what I really want to know. Are we saving 3,000 people or maybe 30,000 or 100,000 people by taking these steps? That's what I really am kind of curious about, because it's going to get really irritating and annoying because the economic fallout is going to last much longer.
So I have a good friend in Italy. I want to say.
Okay.
I work with them, and they were saying that people, well, not in Rome, but in the suburbs.
Well, we do as Romans do, but
no, but in the suburbs, people are in their houses, or if they have a car, they can get around, but that's it. And people are forced to work. Like my friend's friend is a pharmacist and has to work.
But can you go for a walk?
No.
Really?
No.
So you can go from your house to your car, stay in your car, and go right into a building. But you can't just, in the evening go for a little stroll.
Unless you show your jingle hooper.
No, I'm curious about all this. That's gonna cause more psychological damage to people than it will save lives from people getting a virus. I think you've got to let people have a little bit. It's like prisoners. You can keep them on lockdown 23 hours a day, but an hour a day you gotta give them daylight. You gotta let them into the courtyard.
It's like I was saying to my trainer, like my virtual trainer, that I know why prisoners are so buff, because all you have to do is work out, right? So you get very buff.
Yeah. Oh no, I have a feeling in about 2.5 weeks my penis is going to be this size, because what else do I have to do? Kidding.
Here, David, here. Take your ball.
Well, I take those too. Oh, we have an exercise ball too. Here we go. Because Joyce has been doing her gym stuff.
Lift it up.
They can't see it on camera if I lift it up.
Lower down, lift it up.
I've got the whole world in my hands. I've got the whole... There you go. Well, which is currently deflating.
I can pump it up. Where'd you put my
Pump it up until you can feel it.
Where'd you take my pump?
That's what she said. It's in I know where it is. It's
Okay,
in the other
later
room.
on, later on, yeah.
So, okay, where am I going with it? I have so many thoughts about
You
the
were going
COVID
to talk
thing.
about Broadway.
Well, that's in our Inside Broadway segment. We have a little bit of Broadway news. I wanted to let you know about that. We do have, did I bring the book in? Yes, I did! If there's time, we'll have story time. It's time for all of us to be brave.
Fish one. They're the horriblest ones.
What's wrong with having another fish book? It's the brave puffer fish. See how cute that? So we've been doing story time for a couple of years now too, where we take someone else's material, which is way easy for me, and read it and occasionally goof on it a little, and we will be all sharing. Because what better way to spend your time during lockdown and shut-in times than to be sharing a gentle story, just the way that we did when we were kids, just the way Peter Falk reads to his grandson in that movie. The Princess Bride. Just the way he comes in and says, "So as you wish, I will read you your story, the brave little pufferfish." Not so little, as you can see. So we've got that in our story time coming up. We'll have, I wanted to do something really special because we're all depressed. We're all running around not knowing what to do with ourselves. We're all wondering when the hell this
now it's giving me a watch party prompt. I'm doing it.
Okay, great. I wanted to do something this week that we have not done in about 2 or 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, for better or worse, this week, and perhaps for this week only, I am bringing back, wait for it, the wretched pun of destiny. I know. Tell your friends, tell colleagues, tell the folks that you're not going to see for another 2 or 3 weeks, and you're not so sorry about that.
Show them your shirt. Did you show them your shirt?
Oh, I haven't stood up yet. But this is my adulting t-shirt, because we're being adults about this. I'm probably not going to be an adult through this whole show. I mean, I'm a man holding a potato.
Oh, Matthew,
how adult can I be?
Matthew.
Welcome to Matthew.
Oh.
Matthew from UNC? No, I don't know who that is. Okay.
And then Christopher joined.
Welcome to Matthew and Christopher.
This is the watch party.
But, look, we've got more people watching now because I told you we're doing the wretched pun of destiny. It's back. We did about 60 of these over months earlier. And it's where I make an absolutely horrendous, terrible, brutal, but beautiful play on words. They're fairly lengthy and not remotely worth the punchline, and yet I make you suffer through them, ladies and gentlemen. They're the wretched puns of destiny. And this one is about the Grand Ole Opry. Just whetting your appetite. And I want to get your appetites nice and wet since we're going to run out of water at some point. Who else joined, babe?
George and Robin with a Robyne. I've never
Oh, that's a
seen
nice
that.
way. I thought you were going to say there's a Q in there somewhere.
No, so I also, look what it shows.
What does it show?
The picture says this.
Oh my God. That's the thing. Every time you show something different on camera, it tends to notify viewers that, something interesting is happening. It's not just this idiot's head.
Now it gives the count to the watch party.
It does or it doesn't?
It does.
Oh, cool.
I don't understand that.
Well, and we did get some other people. Keisha.
Yeah,
that is a new name. I haven't seen it before.
I
and
don't
Martha.
know how come
yeah.
The watch party's totally different now.
Okay.
It says now playing, no videos in the queue.
Oh, well.
Your queue, and then it just says all these people joining. So
yeah.
I have no
but at
idea.
least you get my video again. It didn't go black.
No, yeah, but first I had to post on.
And once you go black, you never go back. But ladies and gentlemen, yeah.
Charles Busch is what a performance artist.
Oh God, I forgot to mention this.
I put Charles Busch to join later, but
yeah, Charles Busch is a playwright and a performer. To some extent, a performance artist as well. But he is, and he's been doing this for about 30-something years now.
R-I-G-H-T.
Right. What? Play W-R-I-G-H-T.
That's what I said, okay.
Yeah. He started, his first hit, as it were, downtown, was a little one that expanded to become Vampire Lesbians of Sodom, which should give you some idea of the kind of plays that he writes. And then he has gone on to Psycho Beach Party and Red Scare on Sunset. More recently, he did a very funny play called The Divine Sister, and he just had a play, happily, it ended at, I think it was Playwrights Horizons, 2 weeks before all the madness setting. So they were able to get a full run in of his play, which was very well reviewed, called The Confession of Lily Dare. He not only writes the plays, but usually he's in them, and most of the time he doesn't look like himself. When he dresses up, he goes whole hog because he dresses like generally a woman in an old-time 1940s melodrama.
WRGHT.
Yeah,
It doesn't
playwright.
look right.
Okay. It doesn't look right.
Ever
So
since you got the adulting T-shirt, you've been so adult.
Well, thank you.
You
Thank
should be
you so
wearing
much.
a tie and carrying the Wall Street Journal and smoking a pipe, buddy.
Well, I don't do any, I never did any of it. I never wanted to wear a tie, never smoked, never Wall Street Journal, never had enough money to read a Wall Street Journal.
Do you want your special hat?
Oh, later. But yes, I will wear the special red.
No, not that one. That's a private hat.
Okay. What hat are you talking about?
The blue cowboy hat.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I got a special thing to wear. Or maybe the rabbi might wear that
I
later.
just hope that audience is colorblind. Then.
Oh, by the way, Scotty has an update on the time. I hope our delay isn't that. I don't know how long my thing's delay. Yeah.
It's the northern part, Milan,
Okay.
and Venice.
Can you see it? It already scrolled past where I can see. What else did she say?
She said, okay, it's Milan, Veneto, which is Venice. There's huge numbers coming from the south is more affected, but the prime minister put the whole country in lockdown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rome is a ghost town. The social distancing method used for the Spanish flu epidemic 100 years ago, it saved lives then, and I hope we will do it now.
Okay. I open the door and influenza.
She's so good.
There's a pun, but that is not a wretched pun, by the way. That is not a wretched pun of destiny. But thank you, Scotty, for
I gave her a love.
For keeping us posted. And Scotty has been instrumental in getting some of the guests that we've had on Dave's Gone By over the years.
And it's amazing she can do that with no jingle hopper.
I know, right? Usually you need one of those to get some good guests. By the way, welcome to Paul and Wayne and Frank who have joined us. But yes, Charles Busch, going to be talking to the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Solomon about an hour from now. So we're going to lose all our viewers for about an hour. This is going to click and then go away and come back when Charles Busch is on. I get that. But he should be a fabulous interview because he's so talented, has written so many plays, and has such an interesting career. And he's Charles freaking Busch. My God, in some ways, the inheritor of the legacy of Charles Ludlam and the ridiculous theatrical company. So there you go. And he'll be talking to, as I said, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder, spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Witches in Great Neck, New York. Rabbi Sol has been with us since the first show.
Broadway, what, medicine?
I beg your pardon?
Acting is medicine. What do you say it is?
Oh, well, it is medicine for the soul.
Now, what do you call it when you, after Broadway, when people perform and feel better?
Oh, that's a whole different thing. What's her name? Maud Maggart was a guest on our show years ago. And she, at one point, because she's a singer, I asked her what happens when she has to deal with throat issues or go on with a cold. You can't cancel a lot of the time unless you have a COVID thing. What do you do? And she said that most of the time what happens is you're sick all day. One moment. You're sick all day, you feel like hell, you're runny, you're drippy, and then something happens like 15 seconds before you go out on stage. And she called it Dr. Theater. That's what she called it, Dr. Theater. And it takes over and you get out there and you may not be at 100%, but you feel okay and you get the job done. And then when the show's over, you collapse and get really, really sick. Now, what were you going to add?
I said we suggest Dr. Theater talk. Scott Rhodes said we hope you don't have influenza when you open the door, Dave and Joyce.
Thank you, Scotty. Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Theater. And of course, we don't have a chance right now to see if Dr. Theater works because they're canceling frickin' everything.
Weren't you going to do puppet theater for people?
Yes. Oh, hell yes. Where we do.
I thought Potato wanted to do Caligula.
Really?
He wants to start low, yeah.
That's you don't get much lower than that. My goodness. I don't even know where to go from that. Let's talk COVID. So how? You're feeling okay? This is my wife,
Yeah,
Joyce,
yeah.
by the way.
I'm feeling fine. To me, the irony is that I'm working harder now than I did.
Yeah.
It's,
No, this is, let me explain that.
no,
Because
but you can't.
No, I'm not going to say specifics.
Oh, yeah.
But what I can say is, like, people like me, I work a cruddy little bad-paying day job. That's okay. It's all right. And what's very nice is the government, I think, is paying me to not work this whole week, next week, and halfway into the week after that. So I'm getting like a I believe, paid furlough. I'm enjoying this.
Because you have a union. You have a union.
I'm a union, and also it's a public facility.
Yes.
It is a government facility where a lot of public people mill about, and they get their spittle on things, and they get up close to each other, and they're handing things to people who are taking it from them and then putting it back out. So it's like there's a reason to shut down, sort of, I don't think it needs to be done for 2.5 weeks, but so it goes. However, and so many people are like me right now. We're all freaking out and panicking and upset, even while in the back of our minds we're like, hey, I don't have to go to work for that feels good. My wife, however, is the exception. She is still teaching at the university, distance learning, which now so many people are doing, but it's been spring break week, so she's had that off at least. But here's the deal. She works for this other company I am not mentioning, but she works for this other place, and let's face it, I used to have times when I could work at home and for other jobs that I've had, or work distance and have Friday off but still stay connected, and I would do some work, but I'd also find the time to take really nice long lunch hours, or take a phone call, do this, do that, and get some work done. But it wasn't really, I was not, let's face it, as productive sitting in my lovely little domicile, or as you like to say, domicile, as other people. Meanwhile, she starts at 9:15 on the dot for a 9:30 job, and goes and goes and goes until about 5:45.
I love it.
5 freaking days a week, sitting here.
Oh, then let me play. I'm gonna play then. I don't know if it'll.
She is working harder staying at home. She doesn't have to commute, which is nice, but she's working harder staying at home than she was even working, and she was working pretty damn hard at this job.
I work.
The past few months.
Let me play this.
Insane. She's the only one who's working.
Let me play a few minutes and then you stop it. Hold on.
Yeah, what are you playing?
Not yet.
Oh, hold on. Oh, you're hearing me also. Because you're getting you gotta mute me on face.
Favor?
What?
Can you do Cool Moody? I go to work and play that for me.
I can't. I can play like 5 seconds of it. Because if I play copyrighted stuff, I get dinged when I put this up on Facebook and stuff. But hold on.
Just play the intro and I'll sing it.
Oh, that'll be good. Here we go.
Yeah.
Hopefully we won't get, if we're getting advertisement, I'm gonna.
It might.
Hello. It would be nice. There we go. Just give me a second, folks. Hello? Hello, computer? Would you kind of like to work for me? That'd be nice. So we're going to play a special song in honor of my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. I think we're having some issues with all this going on, but it's not. Yeah. I turned it off in case I get commercial. Which is.
Okay.
Oh, no. That's a commercial. I don't want to see Anna friggin' Wintour. And here we go. Duga!
Okay, now you can and then just stop it and say, I go to work just like a gangster. I don't know the word.
Yeah!
I love Cool Modi. Listen, Google Cool Modi. I go to work, except he was a misogynist, which troubles me.
Every black rapper type
not
was.
Everyone. That's an overstatement. I think it was the posturing style.
Yeah.
But at one something, I think it says something like it's hard like a dissertation. I dissertate. It's wonderful.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Play it.
Oh, by the way, Frank from our friend Frank, who used to train, our first trainer when we were trying to get our great guns on, he tuned in. Hi.
Frank?
Wasn't his name Frank?
No.
What the hell was his name? And he had the girlfriend or the wife?
Jessica?
And
Dan?
Oh, so who's Frank? Well, hello, Frank,
Like,
whoever
I
you
don't know who
are.
you've been working with.
And welcome to
Oh,
Rick.
Tony says stay safe again.
Your name rings a bell, Frank. Kind of, if you don't mind reminding
Oh,
me.
also Lori joined. Lori.
Oh, welcome to Lori. So welcome to everybody who is watching. It is 9:30.
3 venues that people are joining, and I'm not sure how.
9:30 in the morning Eastern time on this. Just call me COVID David. That would be my name for today. COVID David, the host of Dave's Gone By,
Well,
which
I
has
have another way to invite people.
which has aired weekly, mostly weekly, since October of 2002. I want to remind you, since a lot of you are home and not working 9 hours a day like my wife is, but looking for things to do, and all these Broadway people are going and doing their podcasts and their video streams and podcasts to keep, because they want to do something, and they figure, well, I can't go in front of 1,000 people in an auditorium. Watch me here. So if you're looking for other things to watch, remember that our archives are at davesgoneby.com. DAVESGONEBY. davesgoneby.com. Well, some of the links have been broken. We've been going through them day by day, week by week. I do know. By day. That our first 200 episodes have been reworked and they're working and they're fantastic.
God,
What?
Stan!
Stan.
Remember Stan?
Stan!
Look,
Yes, he says hello, David.
Yeah!
Hi, Stan.
Oh my God!
Are you in England? How's England doing, man?
We haven't heard from Stan
I think I saw him a
months.
couple of weeks ago briefly, but he didn't say hi. Hello, Stan, and how are you?
Wow!
But as I was saying, davesgoneby.com, and also our last 2 years of archives, which include video, because we've been on Facebook now more than 2 years, and those are all in great condition. They're beautiful. You can watch the last 2 years of the show, the first 4 years of the show. In between is kind of spotty with our things. We also find those on YouTube and other places. That's right. Gotta shake your jingle hopper at the show. But it's true. And we have audio archives for all those years. Plus, we have a separate archive of all the interviews
Stan
we've
said
done.
no shul today.
Well, no. No, there wouldn't be,
No
Stan.
way.
And do a virtual shul. Just go in there and daven.
Virtual shul. I will give you guilt.
Yeah.
I will make you feel guilty.
I tried going into a closet and davening, and I just kept hitting my head on the wall. It didn't work.
I'm going to say virtual shul, just feel guilty.
Yeah, there you go. Just feel guilty. Eat virtual matzah. Yeah. But welcome to Stan, and welcome to everyone. So what do I want to talk to about the... First of all, do you really think that 56% of the people in New Jersey are going to get coronavirus?
I don't know.
56% of people in New Jersey perhaps deserve.
No, I'm not. I used to be an epidemiologist. I'm like that song. I was a doctor then.
Yeah.
I don't remember the path of disease and the epidemic. There's usually a peak and then it declines. Yeah. But I don't know.
Well, do you want to mention what our friend said?
I don't think we should. It's private. It's not because she's not supposed to.
No, but this idea that by summertime-ish.
But that's well known, yeah.
Yeah, but by summer, suppose if all things go well, it will have peaked and start to what?
Stan said yes. Yeah. I said just feel guilty.
But I don't see that unless half are carriers or something like that. I just don't see half of New Jersey sitting there with fever and chills and aches and runny noses and stabbing pain. They can't do anything with. I don't get this whole medical clinic thing, because if you have a bad flu, how do you deal with it? What do you do? There's nothing you can take except chicken soup and sleep. And maybe some vitamins, or what else? Fresh vegetables. Yeah. What else do you take for a flu? And water. You just hydrate.
Water, hydration, Tylenol.
What is there that they can do for you in like a clinic, in a gym?
No, so if you dehydrate, they can give you IV. They can give you, if you have trouble breathing, they can help you.
Yeah.
It just depends,
So I also wonder about the severity or the level, or how many people who are testing positive for this thing are exhibiting any symptoms beyond like sniffles. Yeah, I really wonder if there's this family in New Jersey where 2 or 3 people died from this virus. Are 56% of the New Jersey population going to get that level of this. I can't wrap my mind even around that idea.
I know.
But again, I mean, how many people are killed every year who have either a special gene or immunosuppressed or something else, die of whatever flu is popular that year?
Make a suggestion that part of your show is corona-free because you're depressing me now.
Well, part of the show is corona. We're going to be talking to Charles Busch. We've got our Yesterday quiz. Our Colorado Limerick of the Damned will go in. Well, the Broadway thing will be.
The problem is the young mostly are asymptomatic will infect the older.
Yeah, which is as it should be. You know, if we can't euthanize the aged,
God, David,
go breathe on them. What?
That's why we social distance.
I know. That's why we can't go visit our whoever's in the nursing home. Yeah. But there is an aspect to this whole thing beyond the disease that frightens me as much as the disease. Wow. And it's just this idea of the government really clamping down and telling people where they can go, what they can do, how long they can do it.
What makes me mad, what makes other people mad, is they knew about this in January and February and did nothing.
They knew it was a flu.
Yeah, no, but
like every year.
Yeah, but they knew. I think there was a it's like you know, once your daughter's pregnant, you tell them don't have sex.
Oh well,
right?
yeah.
I mean, it's that kind of like
the horse is out of the barn.
Yeah, that's what bothers me. That we have a Surgeon General, we have a public health division, we have people, we have a leader in chief, right? That's what bothers me.
That they couldn't tell. It bothers me that they didn't do this 3 weeks ago. I can't imagine they're having lockdown, which may have really stopped the spread of the disease back in January.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that they would have looked at this, even the CDC, and said, lock everyone down now, and we can really keep this under control. Yeah. Even in China, where they should have friggin' done it, in Wuhan, Tang province, or wherever that is, you know?
Yeah.
I don't... but one of the first things, and they showed this, what is the first thing that people did beyond getting toilet paper and paper towels and hand sanitizer? What did they buy?
McDonald's?
No. Oh, they also showed on the news people literally driving around the block for Krispy Kreme donuts.
Oh my God!
To get the takeout with the Krispy Kremes.
This is what we need: Americans who are fat to begin with. We need everybody eating Krispy Kremes and stress eating.
You know why?
Why? Because
the food that Americans eat is so filled with preservatives and antibiotics that if we load up on Krispy Kremes and chickens that have been stuffed with steroids and antibiotics, that will naturally fill our bodies with stuff to kill corona.
Say a disclaimer that you are not a doctor in any sense, even though you're wearing an adulting t-shirt.
That's right. That is correct.
That's such a weird image on the screen, David. Yeah.
Why do you think they named the beer Corona? If you drink enough of that, and you eat Krispy Kreme donuts and meats that have been processed with antibiotics in
David, we have another James.
You're golden. Yeah, well, welcome to James. Stan has been saying, I have been having social distance sex for years now.
Oh, Stan.
Go, Stan.
I'm going to say TMI,
and
Stan.
please wipe your screen down. Seriously. Nobody wants to see that. But this whole idea of...
Ew. Wipe the handles with Lysol.
Oh, if you're doing something. Yeah.
Stan.
I mean, and you get all these little things, but so we see these people buying these Krispy Kremes around the block to do it. There was a line at Trader Joe's last night. But here's the other thing. What else do they buy, babe? Think about it. It's America.
Toilet paper.
Sanitizer, toilet paper, paper towels, water. What else?
Condoms?
What country do we live in?
Oh, TMI about your love life.
It's America, babe. What do Americans crave? What do we need? What can we not live without in times of crisis?
Beer? Apple pie.
No.
Guns?
Guns! Everybody's stocking up on guns!
Listen, if we need guns, I know where to go. I know where to go for a good gun.
Yeah, but but I also get it.
Because
I usually don't get it.
The militia, people are afraid it's going to be like Zombieland or something.
Well, that's the thing. I don't. This obsession with guns in this country, I don't. At this point, own a gun. I don't want to, but...
Stan said wipe your keypad.
Well, yeah. And your fingers, dude. Why don't you take the condoms that I'm wearing and put some of them on your fingers? But no, here's the deal, man. It's like, there's a certain aspect of this where I kind of understand that if we really do run out of food and water and fresh things and this stuff, people kind of want to have that
Can I
rifle.
tell you this horrible thing? So
Yeah.
this is my mother's friend, right? Now she's so funny. They'll never do this. So they're meat eaters, right? I'm vegetarian, so I can say the story. So her friend, her name begins with an L, but I'm not going to say the name.
Yeah.
They have an old fat cat, and the granddaughter said, "What are we going to do if there's no meat?" And they both looked at the cat, and my mother was like, they told the story over the phone. Mom's like, "You best be joking, I'll kill you." And they're like, "Of course," but she went to say that she and the granddaughter have a wicked sense of humor.
I get that's funny. And let's face it, if you're bored and you don't have meat to eat, you might want to just eat some pussy. But
and there are a lot of squirrels too.
I get it. No, you don't.
There are a lot of squirrels too. You can have a squirrel.
You can have squirrel. You can have. I mean, you can find meat, perhaps, unless you're in a big city and you can't leave your house.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you can't leave your house, if worst comes to worst, and this is all a big plot by China and Russia to debilitate, because China now is going. The curve is going down in China.
So are they saying? So how long did China have it before the curve dropped?
Didn't they get it in January?
I don't remember.
So it took 2 months.
January, February.
Well, end of January. Yeah.
March. Right. Yeah.
2 full months, and now the Chinese are okay. They're gonna wait for. I mean, once New Jersey goes, so goes the country.
You think it's a political?
I'm sort of joking, but sort of not.
No, this is what I'm concerned about. People's mental health. So being locked in rooms with alone or with people, having guns and thinking about conspiracy theories is not a good combo. I mean, like you're saying, that's not a good.
Yeah. And by the way, Stan is right. I went to the bank last night on my perambulations to deposit a check and get a little cash out, and it occurred to me that when it's such a hypocritical and piecemeal way that we deal with this world, because we're so walk 6 feet away from this person and
now
that person.
Doing your show.
I am doing my show. Oh, you mean my one-man show?
Yeah, you're doing the same voice.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on this in my head as we're talking about this, and 6 feet and somebody's coming at you. Go off the path and wait on the path and try not. I always, if I saw someone and they were coming near me, I would breathe in as if that would, if I smelled somebody's cologne, I'm like, oh, I'm too close. Ah, I start
just hate cologne.
running the other direction. And then I get to, and I see the line at Trader Joe's, and there's people there, and they're handing out. In front of Trader Joe's, there's a work person handing out wipes before they go in.
That's called the wipe lady or the wipe man.
And some of the people in Trader Joe's are wearing masks. And meanwhile, I wait on the line for 5 minutes. I'm like, the hell with this. I'm not going to do this. But there's this couple behind me, and every time they move right, close to me or in front of me, and I want to say like, hello, I'm here first, motherfucker. It's like, get thee behind me, Satans. And then they still keep moving. And meanwhile, there's this other woman, like I'm making sure. And she is to the right of me, and she is staying 6 feet away. But I want to show them, hey, she's online before me. I got to stay behind her. You've got to stay behind me, assholes.
Yeah. You have to, people. It's like Mom says and Ollie says, patience. I think what we need to do, in my mind, right? Oh, tell people.
Well, wait. Let me finish my thought. Okay. So I'm at Trader Joe's, and meanwhile, so you've got this piecemeal thing of some people wearing masks.
Chinese New mid-December.
Yeah. Wow, the Chinese. But what happened was they had it mid-December, and then an hour later they got sick again. That's a little Chinese joke. So I leave the Trader Joe's nonsense, and meanwhile, speaking of patience, while there's a line outside Trader Joe's, there's somebody trying to park, and the person starts honking. Like, let me into the space. It's like, hello, we're moving in a line here. We see you. Just chill. But then I also go to the bank, and I realize when I'm at the bank that I'm depositing money, and I'm touching the keypad, as Stan says, and also the screen. Now, the thing is, the keypad, you can't see anything. It's just this metallic, plasticky, gray number thing. So you go on Faith and say, okay, I'm going to type my numbers in, type my password, boom, boom, this is what I want to do. But there's also like a computer screen that you're looking at for Chase Bank. And I'm realizing, and I'm looking at the screen, and it's filled with smears. Whoever used that screen for the past day has left their fingerprints, their goo, their whatever the hell is on their hands on it. And you know what? Like all the, I gotta touch it. I'm looking, I'm like, Yeah, yeah, and adding my smears to their smears. And does the bank have, in the one place that you think they would have handy wipes to wash your hands after dealing with all this? Nothing. Not a tray, not a thing, no little anything, so that once you've finished your transaction, you can wipe. Not a thing, except on a counter nearby with somebody's used bag of gloves and surgical stuff, mask and wipey things that was somebody else's that nobody wants to touch. And that's the other thing I wanted to get to on my perambulation last night. You tell me if this isn't actually worse than walking sort of near people, but not, inhaling or getting their drops in your mouth. Everywhere I walked in this nice suburban area, I'm looking at the ground, and there are discarded handy wipes and plastic gloves, just all along the gutter here, and people, I don't know, just throwing them away when they're walking or tossing them out of car windows, just one after the other on the sidewalk, on the street. And I have to think that is causing more of a biohazard. Jamie? Welcome to Jamie. More of a hazard to our health and to our planet than this flu is. I'm calling it a flu. I don't know. It's more malarial, apparently, than flu-ish. And funny, you don't look fluish. But...
So, David, I'm sharing on the watch party. So Headspace is an app by a Buddhist monk. He has an English accent. There's a female voice. But they created meditation for COVID. It's called Weathering the Storm. So I'm sharing that on Facebook.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
It's a free meditation collection, and they have a lot of really good meditations.
Please don't let me die.
No, it's about stress, exercise, life. There's some really good ones. A lot of people have sleep issues for sleep.
Please don't let me suffer and die. Oh, great universe. But, yeah, that bugs me too. It's like if you're going to be safe, and you're going to protect yourself, and you're going to protect other people by, wearing masks, by wiping your hands every 10 seconds with something. Don't throw your discarded crap in the street, I imagine you don't get anything by walking by a dirty handy wipe. But maybe there's some kid outside who's going to play and pick that. I don't know. I mean, children. I think if a child goes outside and picks up a plastic glove and starts tasting it and playing with it, Darwin's thing is probably should leave this planet. Probably not bright enough to continue living on Earth. But it amazes me the level of, well, this is okay, but this is not okay. You see a press conference with the mayors and the governors of all these places. They're not wearing masks. And they're surrounded by people, and I don't think they're all 6 feet away from each other. And they're talking into a microphone, getting their spit on the microphone, and then the next, here's the expert who's going to talk about this. They step up to the same microphone. There's this level of, you must do this, but we're going to look away while you do that. Stan says, I'm a distributor. The stuff I buy comes from China. And the people I buy from and Skype with every other day. Even apologizes for not warning us, for not being up on the virus. What can I tell you? What can I, sometimes I do a great Dave's Gone By show. Sometimes not so good. I don't know in the beginning of the show usually if it's going to suck or it's going to be great or somewhere in between. I can't warn you beforehand. After the show, I'm going to say, wow, that was a fabulous Dave's Gone By. Or, we'll do better next week. And it's only after it's over that I know. I think this one's pretty good so far. It's March 21st, 2020. We're doing the 738th episode of Dave's Gone By, and we're calling it Bush League because our guest in the neighborhood coming up in about 45 minutes from now will be Charles Busch, the actor/actress extraordinaire and playwright, man who wrote Vampire Lesbians of Sodom and the Tony-nominated Broadway play The Tale of the Allergist's Wife, which he didn't star in, but he stars in most of his other shows, like Red Scare on Sunset and Psycho Beach Party and Psycho Divine Sister and a bunch of other plays over the year. All his other shows have been off-Broadway and around the country. like a very, very well-respected playwright, a Mac
Oh,
Award
there's
winner.
the picture of Trevor cleaning the radio station. Look at him.
Oh, yay. Yeah, good for him. Or he may be live. Is he live or is he...
I don't. They're saying good morning, so I wonder.
Yeah, cool.
He's talking. I can't.
Well, he's on the air at a radio station.
Hi,
So I'd rather
Trevor.
you watch me than folks. Watch Trevor later.
No, it says was live 3
Oh, it
hours
was like 3
ago.
hours? Oh, yeah, it goes on early.
Yes,
Wow.
has.
Yeah. Anyway, oh, thank you, Stan. Stan says my shows are all good. Thank you. Not great? Not great, Stan? I'm an egotist. Come on. I'm Dave Lefkowitz, by the way. That's my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. This is Potato. Rabbi Saul Solomon will be with us in a while to talk to Charles Busch. Plus, we have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. We have our Today, Yesterday quiz. We have our, after a very long time, the return of the Wretched Pun of Destiny. It's going to be all about the Grand Ole Opry and Inside Broadway as well. So, want to do some Greeley crimes and old times here? Or
yeah, whatever you want. I'm just writing. I put the Headspace app everywhere so people could do it.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's move on to a segment that we've also been doing for a few years now. As I mentioned, my wife and I have lived or had lived in northern Colorado for almost a decade. And so not only did that lead to the Colorado Limerick of the Damned, but the local newspaper there is the Greeley Tribune, which, I mean, it's a newspaper, but it also has two very, very cool stories in there that they do every week, which are Cop Log. These are hilarious phone calls that truly, these are real, these are public record, phone calls that come into the Greeley and Weld County Police Department from people who need help.
Is there another tea in the room? I'm going to get it.
I don't know. I doubt it.
You didn't
Make
one?
another?
There's one here.
Then I brought in that one. I don't
I'm gonna go
recall.
check. Hold on.
Is that awake?
Yeah.
Then that was the second one. You can make a
Oh.
third if you want. Anyway, the Greeley Tribune carries Cop Log once a week, and they also do...
Wait, David, I gotta go. You didn't get the emergency, the
What?
police siren one.
Oh,
Yeah,
dear.
that'll
Okay,
be
so
in-
that'll be in the drawer
You
there.
talk to the people.
So I want to tell you also about 100 years ago in Greeley, Colorado. This is where our friend of the neighborhood, Mike Peters, who has been working for the Tribune for like 40 years, he does a column where he goes into the newspapers many, 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 many years ago. 100 years ago, to be exact. And he pulls out the oddest, most nostalgic, cutest, funniest things that were printed in the local newspaper back in like 1920. And we share them with you as well. So we call the segment Greeley Crimes, for calls about criminals that come into the Greeley Police Department, and Old Times for things that were 100 years ago. And here we go. Greeley Crimes and Old Times. That's what we do here every week on Dave's Gone By. Are you ready to be criminalized, my dear?
Yes.
So let us begin with some old-timey kind of things from Greeley and Weld County, northern Colorado, in the papers back in 1920. Did you know that the city has raised the burial rates, so appropriate for our times, for Lynn Grove Cemetery? Prices, oh my gosh. How much do you think the previous prices were for,
Where is it? Hold on.
if you wanted to bury an adult in the cemetery back in like
$1,
1918,
$1.99.
it was $9 for an adult and $7.50 for a child.
It's a good discount.
Well, it makes the adult thing a bargain,
Yes.
really, because the adult is many, many times bigger than a child.
What happens if the adult's big? Like my mother likes that 600-pound life.
Oh, you get one of those. There's probably a bonus charge. But check this out. They raised the prices, alas, in 1920, and it's $12.50 to bury a child, $4.50 for adults, and you know, this is my adulting T-shirt.
Yeah.
The high cost of living now seems to affect the high cost of dying. This was their editorial line. And what's really hilarious is right now in America, it costs more money to take a child to the movies than it did to bury one back then, which is kind of interesting. And we'll be, a couple of weeks, we'll be burying all our children as well. So that more things change, no more things stay the same. Playing I know all our movie theaters are currently closed, but playing at the Rex Theater in Greeley this week are two movies. The Clodhopper, starring Charles Ray, and this was what they had in the papers, Charlie Chaplin.
The Clodhopper?
The Clodhopper, not the Jingle Hopper, but the Clodhopper.
That's too close.
Maybe it's a sequel to the to the Jingle Hopper. And Charlie Chaplin in a film called Henpecked Spouse. Now, the weird thing about this is, I'm a Charlie Chaplin expert. I was studying him. I knew all his films. I knew all the titles of all his films. And Charlie Chaplin never made a film called Henpecked Spouse.
Did you do this? Do like...
For what?
That's what they used to play during the silent films,
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so do Henpecked Spouse. Honey, it's time for dinner. Honey, it's time for dinner.
It was a silent movie.
Part. Oh, I'm reading it. And then...
was talking to Marie Dressler.
Oh.
So anyway,
is it fake?
Well, the deal was they did used to retitle things.
Why?
Because I think especially the Keystone. Well, this would have been way post Keystone. I don't know why the Rex Theater was showing films at this point. Chaplin was with United Artists and getting ready to make the Gold Rush. But in 1914, he did a show called His Trysting Place. And I guess nobody knew and still knows what the word trysting is. That's probably the movie that they're talking about. And by the way, there were also some Mutt and Jeff comedies.
Oh, thank God.
Back on the Rex Theater screens back in the day. Let's move it up to modern times for a caller on 11th Avenue reported a man talking to himself and...
Oh, wait.
Keep it going. A man talking to himself, okay, and petting imaginary animals. Which kind of, can't even, okay.
Everyone has imaginary.
No mention of alcohol involved, by the way. However, another caller on 14th Street, well, he called the police. He asked for the police to remove a man sitting on the front porch, talking to himself, and spitting a Bible. Because I think if you want to give God the coronavirus, that's pretty much the only way you can do it.
Some people need help, honey.
You think?
Yeah, some people need help.
A caller also reported a man in an alley on 10th Avenue. A lot of crazy people. And by the way, this is well before the disease is driving everybody crazy. This is like a month ago already, 2 or 3 weeks. A caller reported a man in an alley was talking to himself while jumping on and off electric boxes.
Wow.
And quote, trying to hide in the walls. Could you explain what that could possibly mean?
Well, sometimes you don't want to be seen, and you have to play hide and seek, and where are you going to hide? But, an investor's a good place to hide.
Now, a child knows. If you don't want to be seen, you close your eyes.
Oh, that's
if you close your eyes, nobody sees you.
Hide behind a curtain.
Yeah. Now, I wouldn't mind hiding in Walls, because we have a Walls Bakery about half a mile down the road. I would definitely hide in there. That's for sure. Walls Kosher Bakery. And can you explain this to me also? I thank goodness for this. Because I'd be going batshit crazy if this weren't true. I was assuming when Cuomo ordered the lockdown yesterday, the shut-in for New York and all of that, and said that essential services only. Right. Well, what to you is an essential service?
A hospital, the police, the fire people, post office, a nail salon, hair care.
For women, perhaps.
Yeah. My waxing.
Am I waiting?
Yes.
True. No, hair salons, nail salons closing, barbershops closed, all of that. And I assumed that places like Walls Bakery,
But
restaurants.
Food is essential. Food's essential.
Food is essential. Like supermarkets and grocery stores open.
Yeah,
People,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But it would not occur to me that restaurants would be considered essential service, because to me that seems like a treat.
No, but they make prepared food, so any food provider.
Oh, I am thrilled.
Well, they're making food.
Yeah, right. It didn't occur to me that because for people who can't or aren't able, that there's this place that you can't eat in.
Yeah.
And that was the saddest thing. Like 3 or 4 days ago, I went to pick up an order of food at our local deli, our local kosher deli. And I went in, and the place is not usually packed anyway.
Super crowded, yeah.
There's usually nobody. It's all delivery at this point for them. It has been for months. They just don't get a crowd in there anymore. But they still do business, thank goodness. And
David, I'm going to exercise intermediately.
Okay. So I go into this place, but there was this feeling of like I was going to get this food to bring home, and I looked at these tables, and it smelled so good in this place. All I just wanted to do, I just wanted to like get a thing, sit down at
another David and Lisa joint.
So I sit down at a table and just have a meal. You know, not be near anybody, not breathe on anybody, not get my saliva or sputum on any aspect of the restaurant's heating and cooling system. Just, you know, let me sit here all by myself at this table and eat in a place that isn't the house I've been living in for the past year and a half or so. And I realized I couldn't. And that's part of it. It was this emotional thing of like, no, you cannot. You can take the food out, and I can talk to the counter guy who was not wearing a mask. He's this behemoth, like 7 foot tall, 300-pound guy who leans over the counter. And it's like, if there's anybody drooling, it's no mask. He's just, all his fluids are going everywhere. And I'm like, okay. And they're making the food, and the food maker's wearing a mask. I don't know if they were wearing, he certainly wasn't wearing gloves or anything like that. So I'm like, again, it's this hypocrisy of like, I can't sit down by myself and have a meal in this room, and yet I can have this counter guy within 4 feet of me leaning over and like drool hitting my face, right? That's okay. But that sadness that I felt when looking into this deli.
I had a discussion with Mommy, my mother. So my mom has some respiratory stuff, so of course I'm worried about her.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel bad that I can't be with her.
Yeah.
But we had this discussion of reframing it. It's like, you know, and Marie Kilker said a nice prayer on Facebook that's like, you know, be thankful for the people who can work at home. Be thankful for the people who already have food. You know, there are people who are homeless. There are people who are like, we have so much.
Well, knock wood, yes.
We really do. Like, you know, there are people who don't have Wi-Fi. There are people who don't have access to any food generally. There are people who are freaking poor. There are people who are super, super sick. There are people having babies in hospitals now. I mean, there's like, there's a lot of stuff. And the whole, I don't recall the whole thing. Marie might know. I skimmed it, but it's like, be thankful for even having a home to shelter in.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, there are people who are homeless. Where are they going to shelter? In Penn Station?
Yeah. Well, that's the usual place.
I know, but it's like, you know, there's so...
When I've been homeless, that's where I've been sheltering, especially the Penn Station men's room upstairs. No, but it's true. I mean, I was going to talk about this before. Ooh, thank you. Oh, that feels so good.
You have a lot of schmutzy.
Thank you for taking my dandruff off on camera.
It's when you shave your
oh, that's true, yeah.
Your lovely beard, your bearding. Do Vogue.
Oh, the hell with the show. Just keep touching me.
Look at Vogue, look.
By the way, don't do this at home unless it's a close spouse, because this is exactly how you get
I'm
a
going
virus.
to go get my sanitizer. Hold on, I'll show them.
No, but seriously, I didn't mention that either, of how what an amazing thing. Like, if this were 1722, and we were all sheltering in place and self-isolating, what would there be? Like, in the daytime, we could read books, right? As soon as the sun went down, unless you wanted to risk being burned to death by candles, you couldn't read. There's nothing. Now, we're suffering for sure, but what does suffering mean? Okay, just don't spray it everywhere. Okay. What does it mean for us? It means, we have to watch cable TV. You are getting it everywhere. You have to watch Netflix or Hulu or YouTube a lot. You still got the books that you had in 1722, You've got books that you can read online or listen to audiobooks. You've got, if you get Spotify, every possible song ever recorded, just about. I mean, except a couple of Captain Beefheart albums for some reason. So it's like, you know, as awful as it is, what an extraordinary
Mark
time to
says
be. Every
hi.
movie that you've wanted to see, there's a way to see that movie when you want it, right now.
Streaming.
You don't have to
Yeah,
leave. You can just get it.
You can order food, you can order prescription drugs, you can order... I was saying to David, like, imagine people who like to drink or do illicit drugs.
Oh.
That's harder.
Yeah.
Maybe drinking,
Well,
you can
drinking,
order...
a liquor store.
Yes.
No, I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. Liquor stores
Are open?
are open. They're an essential service.
Yeah, of course.
This is not a joke.
People are probably, I'm sure the Xanax, all these anti-anxiety drugs, I'm sure alcohol, those are going through the roof.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure, like, I guess prostitution has to go down, like sex trap work has to go down, but virtual sex work.
Oh my gosh, the cam women,
You
they're making...
You could do it, be a cam sex worker.
Thank you. Okay, you know what? For a real donation, I will show you this nipple.
Oh gosh.
This, which is the nipple that I accidentally almost tore it off when I scratched.
David,
My,
wait.
Years ago, I was itchy.
Show them your ball.
And my fingernail. I'm
Show
sorry
them
if you're
your
having
ball.
breakfast. What does this have to do with
Your
it?
ball.
Oh, if you donate enough, not only will I show you my nipple, I'll show you my ball.
And that's the small one.
There you go.
Right?
That's my right one. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I think, what was it, Pornhub or one of those porn
Pornhub.
places
That's a disgusting name.
is offering free upgrades to like your services on. No, it's like because people are home and you're not supposed to get doing the nasty physically with strangers and stuff.
That's
so
true.
you know, and you're certainly not supposed to be doing the nasty with your aged parents. So what do you do?
David left, please.
Well, it's okay at other times.
When is Charles coming on?
Charles. Oh,
yes.
In about half an hour. So anyway, let's get back to group. But if you think about it, if there was ever a time when you had to be isolated for a week or two or three, in human history, this might actually be the best possible, as what was the Dickens would say, the best of times
It was the
to
best
be
times.
miserably alone. Because, you know, you're always got something. And the wonderful part is, while things are still operational and stuff, and if you have the interwebs, if you don't have Spotify right this second, or, I don't know, Apple Music or any of those services, or you don't have Hulu or Amazon Prime, you can still just sign up and get it in 10 minutes, right? You didn't have to think of that 3 days ago, and now it's not available to you. So, you know, as my cousin Mark has said, good morning to all of you.
I wrote hi, Mark.
Wishing my parents well. Who?
I wish.
Oh, hi, Mark. Yeah, my cousin Mark tuned in as well. So, let's get back to Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Let's do a little more of that, shall we? We shall. Police responded to 8th Avenue, but not 8th and 8th. It isn't that vortex. 8th Avenue for a man outside a pub who had been drinking heavily and started vomiting.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, we need that noise.
Wait, I gotta find the right one. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. Oh, good. Oh, yeah. Bifurcated burps. So he was drinking heavily, started vomiting. A little bit more about this man. He had a can of beer and was missing a shoe.
Yeah.
All I can say is, Mel Gibson's life has gotten so dull during this quarantine. I can't begin to tell you.
Poor Mel.
And we're going to preface this next Greeley crime with the phrase, "You know you're a redneck when."
Wait. I can't hold the computer and do all this stuff.
Okay, well.
Can you hand me
Which one? The white one? Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll title this one. You know you're a redneck when. So a caller on 5th Street wanted to know if it was legal to have strobe lights on the side of his car.
Ooh.
I guess if it's parked and you're not driving down the street.
It.
Can you imagine? I mean, my mom, when she has to drive in darker weather, and headlights are they're not properly aligned. It really is blinding.
What?
Can you imagine a car
Wait,
coming at
why
you with
did-
strobe lights on?
Why did Jamie say Jay Shetty?
I didn't see that.
Did you
What?
ask a question?
Jay Shetty?
Yeah, what's that about?
Shopa Shetty? What are you talking about?
I
What
don't
is
know.
Jay Shetty?
I'm gonna see.
Can you spell it out?
Day
Mm-hmm.
Shetty.
I have no idea what
I'm
that.
gonna say Jamie.
What is Jay Shetty? I don't know. Or maybe my shirt is Shetty. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, let's do a little bit more Greeley crimes.
Maybe
and
did
old
you
times.
ask a question?
I don't know. Whatever question I asked, the answer was not Jay Shetty.
And it's funny. Okay, Jamie wrote and then joined. I don't get it.
Okay.
And then I said, she said,
Yeah.
"Oh, Headspace was authored by a Buddhist monk." Yeah.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Actually, not so far from Shopa Shetty. So there,
Gotcha.
yeah. So got it. Cool. Well, thank you. Thank you for that piece of information about your headspace. And this show is all about my headspace. I'm Dave Lefkowitz doing the Dave's Gone By Facebook podcast program of the stream. We are live and alive on this March 21st, 2020. We're calling this episode Busch League because Charles Busch will be joining us in about half an hour talking to Rabbi Solomon. We're finishing up Greeley Crimes and Old Times before then. Now, on Greeley Crimes and Old Times, we not only do northern Colorado, Weld County area stuff, but we make time in each episode to go just a little further afield for a story from somewhere else on the globe that's kind of odd and weird. And this one comes from Missouri. Dateline, Missouri.
That's odd, yeah.
Now, that's right, partner. Now, you've probably seen the video of customers in Australia storming the toilet paper aisles. And it's a great video. It's just like, it's fully stocked, and then they let the people in, and they're orderly, but they're just coming in and snapping all the toilet paper off the shelves. But here in the good old USA, we're not just taking stuff away, we're adding to the shelves in that aisle. At a Missouri Walmart last week, a woman went into the toilet paper aisle
Oh no.
and did what? Hon, you want to take a guess? Yeah. Police were called. What do you think she did?
I think she doo-dooed.
No.
Bead? She
Kind of, in some ways, the right idea.
wiped herself?
No. In terms of letting something out.
Oh, she farted.
No.
Vomited?
No.
There's nothing else.
Something else.
Vomited, pooped, peed, gas.
No. She gave birth.
Wow! Hold on.
Store manager of the Walmart, Jessica Hinkle, said the woman's water broke in the toilet paper section of the store. If there's a place in the
That's
store
beautiful, yeah.
that's perfect for water breaking, it'd be the paper towel and toilet paper
Perfect,
aisle.
yeah.
So her water broke there, at which point the woman warned employees that her last child was born after only 30 minutes of labor. Another customer
Oh my god.
who was there in the store and works as a labor nurse sprang
Wow.
into action. She donned gloves that she was already carrying in her pocket because of the
Jeepers.
thing, right? And firefighters arrived in time to assist in the delivery and then bring the woman to the hospital to finish
Oh.
off everything. Customers clapped and cheered for the woman as she was rolled out of the store on a gurney. And then they stole her toilet paper. But so mazel tov to that woman in Missouri. As I said, life goes on even when life is threatened, which is kind of neat.
Oh yeah.
Kind of cool story from Missouri. Let's finish up Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Wanted to let you know, and this is going back now to 1920 as opposed to 2020, probably because it's leap year, said the Greeley paper at the time. A record number of marriage licenses were issued this month.
Oh good.
So far in January,
Oh, wait, let's see if we have
anything for marriage? Well, that's for the other woman. That's for the woman in the toilet paper aisle. Maybe like a glass for the stomping on the thing.
I don't know if I have that. Feedback.
You must have one of those. Like,
I know. Okay, let me see. Oh, I got it.
oh, I think it's there. There you go. Oh, that's marriage for you. So, 22 permits were issued in January for marriage. Only one of the couples were so young that they needed their parents' permission to marry.
What were they, 13?
What?
13 years old, yeah.
I wonder. So, but that was the thing. I guess they say it had to do with being a leap year, because people are taking a leap or perhaps leaping to their deaths. So
Taking the leap to marriage.
yeah. Oh, however, we do need to
yeah.
send our best wishes for a recovery to Mrs. E.W. Grubb.
Oh.
Has been quite sick recently with bronchitis. This is verbatim from the newspaper back then. She has improved, but she still feels somewhat like a grub, and not her usual airy-fairy self.
Aww.
Are you feeling your usual airy-fairy self?
I also think we have to give a shout out to our dog who hit 18 years old.
Yeah.
You didn't mention.
Oh, that's right. We did, in the midst of all of this, happy birthday to our dog, Ufti Guft, who turned 18 years of age 2 days ago. Is he in the most wonderful condition? No, but for an 18-year-old dog, he's not doing too badly, knock wood. So, yeah, big happy. When he wakes up, which invariably he will, I'm sure we'll bring him on camera and try and get some extra clicks, because everybody wants to see animals on TV. All right, it's about 20 after. Maybe we should, one more time, I think, or...
What do you want?
Let's see. Well, yeah, let's do one more. Perfect for this time. A recent item from about a week ago. Police responded to 17th Street for a suspicious person parked by some shrubs who kept ducking down when the caller drove by. What do you think that was, dear?
What?
Turns out it was just a delivery service driver who was lost.
Why was he ducking behind the... Like, I can understand getting lost, right? That makes perfect sense to me. Yeah. I would do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I got lost in, where did we travel? Oh, all over I get lost. You know, like in Canada I've got really lost. But I don't duck behind bushes. Like that, that's weird. Like, I'm
thinking he was maintaining the 6-foot rule.
I think he was maintaining his, taking care of his jingle hopper.
Why
would you duck behind a bush if you have a van? Yeah.
Well, we'll be ducking behind Charles Busch. And there's a lot,
what time is he coming on? I got that question.
Well, we got about half an hour just before Rabbi Saul joins us with...
do you want my
Charles
phone
Busch.
or your phone?
We'll do your phone. I'm dialing in. So,
okay, good. Okay.
Great. But for now, let's leave Greeley.
I'll set it up for you.
And Greeley crimes at all times.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, live on this Saturday morning, March 21st, 2020, with the 738th episode of Dave's Gone By. I want to, first of all, give a shout out to our sponsors, Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway. The Toron family has been owning and operating and running Hewlett Minuteman in the heart of Hewlett, Long Island, since the mid-1970s. And they are still running it. This is the great news. Hewlett Minuteman Press is considered an essential service because they deal with the post office and they do UPS mailings, and it's important to get stuff in and out, and whatever reason it is, Hewlett Minuteman is still operational. They're not taking the weeks off. They are, unfortunately, and I feel bad for some of the workers there, they are doing like half staff and fewer hours and part-time things. So you want to call them and find out if they're doing all the regular hours and how long it will take you to do a job that you have to do. And there's certain things that they normally do that probably will have to delay or can't do or will take longer doing, but they're still there. So if you need copies next week, right, and you're working on stuff, you need, you're still planning a wedding. Let's say the wedding's happening in like July.
Yeah,
but you got to send invitations now, right? You're still going to be looking at 20% of America's going to be unemployed. People are going to need to print resumes and work on resumes and have business cards. Hewlett Minuteman Press can help with all of that. So give them a call, 516-569-5577, area code 516-569-5577. I think they're still open until noon today. Generally, this time of year, they're open 5.5 days a week. And if you tell them Dave sent you, you get 10% off any job, big or small. And I know that I've used Minuteman even when I was living in Colorado.
Yeah, that's
And I was
true.
using them from 2,000 miles away. So if you're distance working, you can send them stuff by email. They'll get the job done. They'll ship it to you if you can't get in the doorway. They're still, as I said, how cool is it that Hewlett Minuteman Press is an essential service? 516-569-5577, or I guess it can still go in there, not as a group, but going and order something and have something done by walking in there. They're in the heart of Hewlett, Long Island, right on Broadway, in that little strip mall of stores. 516-569-5577. They are the Copy Kings. And welcome to Fred of Friendy. Hey, thank you for tuning in. And our best to Wendy, too, of course. And hope that you guys have been great and all things are going okay where you guys are. You know.
How do you spell friendy?
I think we just do F-R-E-N-D-Y.
You know I am.
Without the Y, yeah. So what else are we going to be doing on this episode of Dave's Gone By? We have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. We'll have our Today Yesterday quiz. We'll be going inside Broadway. But momentarily, before all of that, we're going to, and this is so exciting for me. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring back our segment that we haven't done in maybe 2 or 3 years on this show. Fred and Wendy tuned in at just the perfect time because we're bringing back the Wretched Pun of Destiny. This is where we make a play on words that is abominable, execrable, worse than finding a used glove on the sidewalk. Ladies and gentlemen, we tell a little bit of a story that ends with a pun. I apologize in advance for these, and yet I do love them. And I know deep down, you despise them. But I do them anyway I used to do them every week on Dave's Gone By. It's been a long time. We've done some other segments, but I thought we all need a lift. We all need a little something extra in difficult times. Why not bring back the Wretched Pun of Destiny? And this one is about the Grand Ole Opry. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Wretched Pun of Destiny. The Dave's gone by, Wretched Pun of Destiny. To celebrate the upcoming 100th anniversary of the Grand Ole Opry, organizers are planning a major renovation of the auditorium. They call in design experts to plan all the changes, and they book celebrities from many different fields to make the event global. One thing, says the head of the opera to a small group of workmen and celebrities, since his death, the Grand Ole Opry has been haunted by the ghost of Hank Williams. He's benevolent, but anything we do here, we have to clear with him first. What do you mean? Says Ellen DeGeneres, one of the invited celebrities. Just go in and talk to him, says the organizer. Tell him you'll be emceeing the show and making cute jokes about country music. How about me, says basketball legend Wilt Chamberlain. Same thing. Tell Hank Williams you're there to do some trick shots like your early years with the Globetrotters. Then an HVAC technician steps up and says, I'm no celebrity, but I've got a chart showing how much we can circulate warm air through the building on chilly nights. Do you think he'd want to see that? Absolutely, says the organizer. In fact, when we go in, we'll hit him with the heating chart first, then Ellen makes some jokes, Wilt Chamberlain does his thing, and then you'll be on the end so you can talk about the chart after Hank Williams takes a look at it. We'll be sitting in that order, says the HVAC guy. Yup, says the organizer. Your heating chart, Wilt Allen, you. apologize for bringing you the Wretched Pun of Destiny. Yeah, the views expressed in the Wretched Pun of Destiny do not represent the views of any other human in the universe. I'm proud of that. Was that as horrible as I thought it was?
No, that was really good. I liked it. It was very clever.
Thank you. The only person whose opinion really, truly matters, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, said she liked the Wretched Pun of Destiny, and that's why I married her. But you know, ladies and gentlemen, it's about 25 after 10 o'clock Eastern Time here in the neighborhood on Dave's Gone By. Charles Busch will be joining us in about 20 minutes, talking to the great Rabbi Solomon. We've also got our Today Yesterday quiz coming up. We'll probably have a little bit of time for story time later in the show, including the brave pufferfish. There he is. Or kind of looks like a she. So, before all that, I didn't think that I was going to do an Inside Broadway segment today on Dave's Gone By. I didn't, what was there to talk about, right? Everything shut down. But I wanted to give you an update about that. So let's, in brevis, and I am wearing tighty-whitey brevis, let's do our Inside Broadway segment. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. In Broadway we go, pretty much every week here on Dave's Gone By. So what is there truly to tell? Well, just to remind you and to give you a status update. For those of you who love the theater, I've been a playwright and an actor and a theater journalist for 30 plus years now. So this is a very, very weird time for me. I think it's kind of funny that after all these years in Colorado, I come back to New York. And one of the reasons to be in New York is to go see theater, to see my Broadway, to see all these off-Broadway shows. And here I am in the heart of the spring season, which is the most exciting, fall and spring are fairly equivalent. But then this incredibly vital and vibrant time for Broadway theater and off-Broadway as well. And there's just like nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to see. Because as we know, all Broadway shows are currently on hiatus through April 12th. And the annoying part of all this is that everybody in the theater community basically knows, not just deep down, but knows that April 12th is a very, very liquid, paper, tissue-thin deadline. In terms of, everything's going to reopen on April 13th. They'll start rehearsals again. They'll bring things back. And maybe we'll delay, like, the Tony nominations for a week. And no, it's not happening. If we're first still ramping up in our shutdown for this goddamn disease now, I can't, and nobody can see things going back to normal, like, the day after April 12th, the current deadline. And so it kind of annoys me that the Broadway League and the theater wing and all the producers and stuff are just coming out and saying, all right, it's not going to be April 12th. It's probably, let's just put it to May 1st. And if it ain't going to be May 1st, we'll let everybody know by like April 3rd, etc. and so forth. Don't be going under these false pretenses so people can know what they're doing, so the actors can know the contingency plans they have to make and for how long. So the actors' unions can get a handle on what they have to fight for in terms of allowing the actors to be paid or compensated a certain amount, for insurance companies to know, just get off the stick and don't sort of put us under this idea that, by April 13th, we're still going to be okay. Likely, there are people who are saying that early May, things could start to ramp back up. And then there's other folks who are saying, no, it's going to be until summertime. And they're going to have to scrap the entire rest of this whole Broadway season, forget the Tony Awards or push them until the autumn, and all sorts of all sorts of contingencies. The Theater World Awards that are generally hosted by our friend Peter Felicia, those have been moved until the fall. Tony Awards, very unlikely that they're still going to be that first Sunday in June. I can't, no one can even really imagine that at this point, except no formal statement has been made. And there have already been, over the past 2 days, we've had now casualties of the 2019-2020 season shows that were in previews. They were already playing, but had not yet opened. They had opening night set for like a week or 2 or 3 from now. They are closing and very like never coming back. One of them is Martin McDonagh's dark comedy Hangmen, an English play about the last hangman in England, going back a few decades, who suddenly has to figure out what he's going to do with his life when he can't kill people anymore because they've outlawed capital punishment there. So apparently the show got great reviews in England. It was going to open on Broadway. Started previews. It's dead. It's deader than the people that the hangman executed. It's not going to happen. Another show that we're going to revive, or we're in the process of reviving, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, the Edward Albee classic that was going to star Laurie Metcalf, who's become Broadway royalty now, even though she's also been on Roseanne and what do they call it, The Conners now. She was going to star in that opposite Rupert Everett at the Booth Theater. They just announced last night that they are stopping. They were in previews. They're stopping the show, and it's going to die. They're not going to open, because by the time, here's the deal, it was a limited run to begin with. By the time they could get it open and then re-promote it and re-advertise and rehearse and get it just couldn't happen and wouldn't happen. So, I mean, let's face it, Broadway has had quite a few Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolfs over the years. I don't know how many, maybe they were great. Maybe this was a great lost revival. Don't know. But those are just 2 shows that were supposed to open and will not. I think a bunch of others will follow. Michael Riegel on the New York Post, also our friend of the neighborhood, he has been writing about the theater. He's been writing about this whole situation. And it's interesting, he kind of contradicted himself within a couple of days, and this happens, where on one level, like early in the week, he said that Phantom of the Opera is in trouble. Because Phantom of the Opera is purely tourist, right? It's so tourist and international driven rather than New Yorkers. And at this point, because it's been open for 20-something, gosh, maybe 30-something years. And he said, oh, no, this could really hurt Phantom. And then he heard from Andrew Lloyd Webber and Lloyd Webber's people. And by Friday, Riegel was saying, no. Phantom is one of those things that is indestructible. Phantom, unlike Cats, is really going to be now and forever, and they're sprucing it up, and it will, of all the shows that will be back when Broadway is back, Phantom first on the line. And I certainly don't imagine Hamilton going away and Wicked going away and shows, Book of Mormon even, shows that just have this built-in box office drive to them that people will be slavering for when Broadway comes back. It's kind of like, that's one of the beautiful things that happened after 9/11. And I remember this. I remember what New York was like. I talk about this so much on this damn show, but New York after the bombings of September 11th, 2001. Broadway was up and running on Thursday. Okay, bombing happened on a beautiful Tuesday morning. Thursday night, Broadway was up and running. Now, who was going to sing? People weren't running to see Tom Selleck in 1,000 Clowns. But if people had tickets to the producers, they were going to brave, they were going to be the brave souls and say, you know what, it's the producers. I paid all this money. It's Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick, this huge hit, we love the movie, and we gotta go. And they went. And when Broadway comes back, Hamilton, much as my wife has issues with that show, and Wicked, and a couple more shows like that and Phantom, are going to be the engines that just, like magnets, like bring people to the theater. Whether they want to or not, whether they want to brave New York or not, whether they want to have to wear a mask while sitting in the theater in the middle of May or June, right? They're going to do it. That's what will bring them back, as opposed to shows that are a little more on the fence. It's going to be very tough for plays, right? It's going to be really difficult for serious plays, non-musicals, to get any kind of a foothold until maybe the fall, when Broadway is back into sort of a normal cycle of things. And the institutional theaters can get up their seasons and have people in. Between now and the summer, I think plays are going to have a very difficult time of it. Even Plaza Suite, which is supposed to reopen an old Neil Simon comedy with Matthew Broderick and his wife Sarah Jessica Parker, they might be a draw. They might bring
you want tea or
some
anything?
people
I'm
in.
gonna go downstairs.
What
do you drink that's orange?
Oh, it's just my my Arizona tea. So I don't really need
I'm gonna go
that.
make myself a
I can use a hot coffee.
Okay.
That would be really nice for
Is your cup in the room, or where's your cup?
No, I need this cup here
Okay,
for
I'll
this.
make
It's
it-
still
I'll
got
get
stuff in
another
it.
cup. Yeah, I'll get
Thank you very
another
much.
You're welcome.
So anyway, that's the latest on Broadway. And so shows that I think that most people think will be in trouble is there's another play by Tracy Letts called The Minutes. Now Tracy Letts is a friggin' Tony winner, Pulitzer winner for August Osage County, right? Also a really accomplished actor. He was in the last revival of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. So Tracy Letts has a new play called The Minutes, and it's supposed to be real good. And it's supposed to be opening in a week or two. Won't. And I'm imagining it's going to have a real problem trying to reopen unless the producers manage to just scotch everything and bring it back in the fall. Same thing with the Layman trilogy, which, I was so looking forward to. Don't know if that's going to happen. And the institutional shows are also on hold, although our institutional theaters may have a better ability to keep things going, reopen them. So there was supposed to be a revival of Caroline or Change, the Tony Kushner, Janine Tesori musical. Mrs. Doubtfire, I don't know if anybody was looking forward to that, no offense, but maybe. Sing Street 6, Diana. There was a revival of a really wonderful comedy drama called Take Me Out, about baseball and a baseball player who doesn't want to come out of the closet. And I think it's a Richard Greenberg play. Forgive me if I'm getting the author wrong. I was really looking forward to a revival of that. That's going to be tough, but I think it's a second stage production, so they may be able to. It's as we all know, it's up in the air. By the way, if you want to know about theater, especially when theater gets up and running in a good way again, I do have to push and plug this journal, which has been around since 1944. If there is ever a time to support things that are involved in theater, this is the time, folks. You're sitting at home, so buy this. Buy this incredible magazine journal called Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. Now, this is, of course, the March issue, so, this was put together in February and doesn't have any of the COVID stuff. But in a general, normal issue of Performing Arts Insider for normal times, you get a look at the Broadway season all on one page, all the shows that are running, or they're not running now, but if they were, and when they're opening and closing, a little map of the Broadway district. Then we go into a page showing all the Broadway theaters, where they're located, how many seats they have, who are the owners of those theaters. And then, because this is really, it's an industry journal. It's an inside industry look at Broadway and off-Broadway. And here are the press agents. These are the folks who do the PR and handle all the Broadway shows. How do you contact them? Where are they located? What are their phone numbers and email addresses? There's right on this page of Performing Arts Insider. And then the list of every Broadway show that is either currently running, starting previews, or opening and closing. And this is something that you cannot find anywhere else. All the off and off-Broadway shows too. Let's say, if we weren't in insane times, today, March 21st, so one day, or let's see, what's supposed to be happening today? At the starting previews at the New Victory Theater, a version of Treasure Island. Now, the New Victory Theater is an all-Broadway theater specifically devoted to children and family theater. So they were going to be doing Treasure Island. It was supposed to start previews today and run through late March. obviously not going to be happening. And they were doing a show called The Pink Hulk at the Wall Center. I don't even know where that is. It's a one-day only thing. I think it's a solo show about a woman with cancer. But okay, I was able to know that. I was able to know, oh my God, so many shows that were supposed to be ending tomorrow, including off-Broadway shows like About Love and Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice and Bundle of Sticks and DWB, Driving While Black. There was a show called, there was a revival of my favorite musical of the past 25 years, A Class Act, that got canceled because of all of this. But anyway, if times were normal, this is the list that you would use in Performing Arts Insider. There's also a guide to awards and special events involving the theater, and of course our comprehensive Broadway listing of every show on Broadway, going to be coming to Broadway in the months ahead, and the same thing again for off and off Broadway, with all the people involved listed, their contact information, the press agents, the producers, the theaters that they're in, and the dates, previews, openings, and closings. And then come to the back of the book, there's even listings of shows happening in New York State. So if you're looking for Brooklyn Academy of Music or Broad Hollow Theater or the Argyle Theater in Babylon, this is where you would find that. And then our rumor page. This isn't necessarily affected by Corona. These are shows that are rumored to come to Broadway in the months and years ahead. And then, of course, our incredible comprehensive index to the entire issue. What a fantastic journal. How do you subscribe? Go to performingartsinsider.com. Performingartsinsider.com. It comes out 12 times a year. It's a monthly issue. It is hard copy. It's a magazine. You know, because what are you going to do inside all day if your eyes are tired of looking at a screen all day? Get a hard copy magazine. It's fantastic. You can, if you want to save a little money, also get the issue via PDF. So if you want to save some trees and save a little dough, we can also do the 12 issues to you in your email box just as a PDF file. But either way, go to performingartsinsider.com and subscribe to the Bible of Broadway. Well, let me finish up our Inside Broadway segment to let you know, what am I letting you know? That to keep our minds off of the virus for a moment and think in terms of times ahead, months down the line after this whole thing has curved and burned out. Speaking of shows, we talked about The Producers, right? A big hit cult classic movie that became a beloved musical. Maybe this is going to happen for another big cult classic comedy movie. Some Like It Hot. The Billy Wilder film is being remade into a musical. Matthew Lopez, Mark Shaman, and Scott Whitman, these are people who gave Hairspray. They're doing the adaptation, and I know there have been previous adaptations of Some Like It Hot. I think Sugar was done about 30, 40 years ago, but this is a new one, directed and choreographed by Casey Nicholaw. It's going to be trying out at the Cadillac Palace Theater in Chicago in March of 2021. So that's a year from now. Not even worried about that at this point. And then eyeing Broadway in the spring of 2021, also a year from now. So yeah, so life goes on. Broadway, fingers crossed, goes on as we go inside Broadway.
It's the famous gay white way, where the night is bright as day. Ain't Broadway grand? It's not just a thoroughfare, it's a tingle in the air. Ain't Broadway grand? It's excitement, it's romance, it's all fun and song and dance. This wonderland, you can be a millionaire quicker here than anywhere. Ain't Broadway grand?
You audition very well. You're
Hit the wrong button there. Sorry, folks, but yes, ain't Broadway grand? And by the way, we're going to be talking Broadway and off-Broadway and theater and playwriting and all sorts of great stuff with our guest coming up in about a minute or two, Charles Busch. Thank you. Oh, I've got a delicious, I think there's chocolate syrup in there. And extra milk, thank you. Hold on. Thank you, my darling. As we move on to the next part of Dave's Gone By, our guest, Charles Busch, joining us in just a moment or two with one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Sal Solomon. So while we bring them all in, Charles Busch will be with us by phone. Rabbi Sal is in the other room. He's coming in a moment. Rabbi, I'll be right with you. Let's hear some Charles Busch. Thank you.
Once upon a time, there was a tavern where we used to raise a glass or two. Remember how we laughed away the hours and dreamed of all the great things we would do. Then the busy years went rushing by us. We lost our starry notions on the way. If by chance I'd see you in the tavern, we'd smile at one another and we'd say, those were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. We'd live the life we'd choose, we'd fight and never lose, for we were young and sure to have our way. Just tonight I stood before the tavern. Nothing seemed the way it used to be. In the glass I saw a strange reflection. Was that lonely person really me? Through the door there came familiar laughter. I saw your face and heard you call my name. Oh, my friend, we're older, but no wiser.
True for me.
For in our hearts the dream remains the same. Those were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. We'd live the life we'd choose, we'd fight and never lose. Those were the days, oh yes, those were the days. La, 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 la.
Die, 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 dum, die, 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 die. Oh, shalom, my friends, shalom, damn it. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sal Solomon, the founder and spiritual leader. Let me fix my payas here. This is terrible. But what's wrong with my head? That's better. Here on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the Stream, which I'm very excited to be talking today because, you know, there's no Broadway right now. There's not even any off-Broadway. Everybody's hunkered down, and we miss the actors, we miss the playwrights, we miss the fun, and we miss the delight. And someone who has provided a tremendous, God darn this pass, a tremendous amount of fun and delight to us over the years is our guest in the neighborhood. His name is Charles Busch. That is why I'm wearing this lovely and beautiful camisole, because not only is he known as a playwright, but he cross-dresses in a way to be these glamorous, melodramatic women from movies of the 1940s and so on. So he started doing that way back when. His first hit was Vampire Lesbians of Sodom. Anything with lesbians in it, I'm for. He did Theodora, She-Bitch of Byzantium, Psycho Beach Party. On Broadway, he wrote the big hit Tale of the Allergist's Wife, which, by the way, won the John Gassner Playwriting Award for that year from the Outer Critic Circle. He also did a hilarious show called The Divine Sister a few years ago, Red Scare on Sunset, and only a couple of weeks ago he had the off-Broadway show The Confessions of Lily dare. So he is prolific and also quite brilliant. He is a winner of a Drama Desk Career Achievement Award. He's won MAC Awards from the Manhattan Association of Cabarets and Clubs. He's on the Playwrights Walk of Fame outside of the Lucille Lortel Theater. And let's face it, if anybody can make up for having 2 Bushes in the White House, it's this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the neighborhood and give a big shalom to Charles Busch. Shalom, Charles.
Shalom, darling. How are you?
Oh, shalom, darling, to you too. How are? Well, by the way, first, most important question right now for everybody. How you feeling?
I'm fine. I'm doing fine. I'm just so stir crazy being in solitary confinement. It's just hard.
Well, what does that mean in New York? Can you go outside you live in an apartment, I assume, in New York. So you go outside? Can you go shopping? Or are you literally just 4 walls?
Well, I mean, the big event of my day is going across the street to the supermarket, see if there's anything left there to buy, go to the bank. That's kind of it. I think I believe it's more and more we're kind of on lockdown here. I think we're discouraged from doing anything unessential.
Wow.
Put it that way.
Well, but
the way it doesn't change my life that much because I'm a writer, and so I spend, generally speaking, most of my time in my apartment anyway. But I like having the option. I might go out to dinner with some friends or something, but that's really doesn't happen anymore.
And even inviting your friends over for dinner in your apartment, is that frowned on? Is that not happening to people?
Yeah. You can invite some friend in, and they're tracking in all sorts of germs. And we're supposed to stay 6 feet away from each other.
All right.
That'd be hard to sit at dinner. The table is 6 feet. My table's not that big.
Well, let me ask, do you have enough toilet paper? This is an important thing.
Yeah, well, I'd say though, really, being serious for a moment here, though, that aspect of human nature is so disturbing of the hoarding and these people buying up all the toilet paper, and so there's nothing left for the poor person who can't afford to buy in bulk. I mean, it's just there's such an ugliness to people in crisis situation.
Well, it's fear-driven, of course. I mean, we're all afraid on some level. Well, here's the thing. Do you have enough makeup? Because for you, this is an important thing. That's an essential product for you.
But I'm not performing right now, so makeup be damned.
Oh, dear.
Don't need anything.
Well, you were one of the reasons we were going to have you on the program, and having you on this program this week is one of your shows was canceled. You were going to do a one-man show that you've been working on. What was that called?
Hollywood Soundstage. Yeah, I've had this very odd career. I belong to so many different communities that, I'm a playwright, actor, what else am I? Cabaret performer, drag, I don't know what you want to call me, drag icon, legend. I'll accept that too. But anyway, I do a lot of cabaret work, and I was supposed to do this tour of the West Coast in April, and I had all these dates set up, in LA, San Francisco, Palm Springs, Seattle, and they all were canceled. But Tom Judson, my musical director, accompanist, and I, we were going to try out the act at the end of this month at a wonderful place in the East Village called Pangea, and so that was all set. And then, first all the West Coast dates got canceled. And I still thought, we'll just still try out the material at Pangea, but then that got canceled as well. So we got a lot of songs and no one to sing them to.
Like, can you sing a song for us, like a little a cappella, or is that, can we get a little taste?
It's awfully nice when you have the piano behind you.
Okay.
I'll sing a couple bars. That's something we're working on. When we played our charade, we were like children posing, playing our games, acting at names, guessing the parts we played. Oh, what a hit we made. We came on next to closing, best on the bill. Lovers until love left the masquerade. That's a little bit. A beautiful song, Charade, by Henry Mancini and Johnny Mercer. Remember
Yeah,
that
it sounded
movie?
familiar. I like that. That's very pretty, actually. Yeah.
Cary Grant. That was the theme to that movie. You know, this show that we were working on. Songs from the movie Decades of Hot Films.
So you're breaking up a little bit on that telephone there. Say that again, please.
The show we were working on, where that song was from, it was a compendium of songs from the history of the movies.
Oh, I see. So that was a Henry Mancini too. Now let me ask you. Now, are you one of those writers? I know the producer of this program, Dave. He will never talk about something that he is currently in the middle of writing. He doesn't want to tell anybody or show anybody anything. Or are you like that? Or can you even tell us what, now that you're sequestered and cloistered, what you're physically working on as a playwright?
Sure. Well, Dave has a point, a strange one perhaps, but a point, just that sometimes if you get an idea for something you're working on, a play or whatever, you can talk about it so much to people that at a certain point you kind of don't need to write it anymore. You sort of lose the, I don't know what you want to call it, just a little shred of mystery that's part of your imagination. But you sometimes can, it's happened to me where I've just, in my enthusiasm, just keep talking about the play to everybody, and at a certain point I feel, I kind of talked it out. There's nothing really more for me to do, and I never write it. But what I've been working on for ages, I mean years, is a memoir. I think everybody's got a good story. I really do believe that everyone's got a story worth telling, and I think I have a pretty interesting one with my from childhood on, and how I got, and then how I ended up having this very strange career of just writing plays for myself, or frequently I've been the leading lady. And I've passed through many different interesting periods of our contemporary history. So it's a good story, but I've been working on it for, at least 5 years, because I just didn't really know how much of the story I was telling, or what structure. But I'm almost I'm really done with it, and now I have to figure out how I'm going to sell it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm very excited about that. And then the other thing I'm working on, which is I can do from the safety of my home. My best friend Carl Andrus, who's a very talented director, and he's directed really most of my plays for the past 20 years. Anyway, we're writing a screenplay, and so he's up in Connecticut, so we've been Skyping with each other every day, and we're writing the screenplay together. That we're actually hoping it's a very modest but tiny budget movie that we were hoping to raise the money for, which I think we will, and we're hoping to film it.
Well, I should mention that 2 of your plays were made into movies. There was Die Mommy Die, and was it Psycho Beach? What was the other movie that you did?
I've just made a couple movies. Psycho Beach Party and Die Mommy Die were adaptations of plays of mine, and then I wrote, directed, and acted in a very sweet movie that's kind of lost. It was called A Very Serious Person, and I made it, I think, in 2006, and we won an award at the Tribeca Film Festival. It was all very exciting, but then it was a very small little movie, and ultimately it went straight to video, and I don't even know if people can find it anymore. But
well, wait. Let me ask you a question about that, because nothing is completely lost anymore in this age. If you really wanted to, if you had the right, couldn't you just upload it to YouTube, and whoever wanted to see it could see it?
I think if you really played Sherlock Holmes, I think you could probably find it. It might still be out on Wolf Video, the DVD company. Actually, I had a lovely surprise recently. A theater company here in New York does an annual film festival of films that are somehow related to theater, whether the filmmaker is basically known for the theater career or whatever. And kind of out of the blue, they contacted me that they wanted to show A Very Serious Person as the closing night entry of their film festival. And I was kind of astonished, and frankly, I hadn't seen the movie in so many years that I couldn't really remember it terribly well. And I had to go to the screening because afterwards they were going to interview me on stage to talk about it.
Yeah.
I was kind of dreading it because I thought, maybe it won't hold up. And it was the first time I directed, first and only time I directed a feature film, and I was afraid I would be kind of humiliated, but I was pleasantly surprised. I really hardly even remembered the movie. I mean, scenes came up. I totally forgot that person was in the movie, or that we did that scene, and it was a nice feeling. Because I can be very self-critical and dismissive of earlier work of mine, thinking, it's just not quite good enough.
Well, there is if you go onto Wikipedia and look for Charles Busch, they do tell the story that as a child, apparently, allegedly, that's why we have you on the show, to check the truth or falsity of Wikipedia. It said that you were a very insular, shy, self-abnegating child until your aunt got you into like Manhattan, which is where you blossomed. Is that kind of the truth?
Basically, I think I started off okay. I grew up in Westchester, in Hartsdale, and we had a series of terrible tragedies in my family. Mainly that my mother died when I was 7, and I was a very creative kid and a kind of a solitary one, but I somehow was allowed to drift, and I was never interested in school. Really my whole life has been that I have enormous concentration when it's something that directly interests me, but if it's not right in my field, I tune out, and so I just tune out on school. And by the time I guess I was in 8th grade, it had gotten so bad that I was going to be left back, and I just really was non-functioning. And so I was fortunate, though, that my mother had an extraordinary older sister, my Aunt Lillian, who lived in Manhattan and was widowed and had no children of her own, and she stepped in, and she was 60 years old at that point, and a very youthful 60, but she stepped in and adopted me and brought me to live with her in New York City. It's a little bit like the story of Auntie Mame, and she, but it was also maybe part the miracle worker. She was just devoted to me and worked very hard to try to teach me just basic concentration skills so I would pass these courses and be able to continue in school. And her ultimate goal was to get me into college. And we worked very hard. And by some miracle, I was accepted 4 years later into Northwestern University as a theater major, which was kind of a prestigious school. I still don't know how they let me fit in because even with all her help, I was always never more than mediocre.
And also you found the problem when you were going to Northwestern, majoring in theater, which is the place, theater is the place for outcasts and freaks and geeks and nerds and to come together. But even there you felt that you weren't getting cast because you were perceived as being, they may not have put the word gay on it, but that you weren't a leading person type because you didn't have that, I don't know, that manliness or something.
Well, first of all, I think that if I can contradict you a bit, I don't know about the notion of theater students being geeks and freaks, and I think I think theater people do themselves a disservice by calling themselves theater nerds and theater geeks and all that. They're a pretty hip crowd, I must say. Northwestern. An attractive crowd and a very hip crowd. But in 1972, when I was there, it was a very different world, and there's no gay literature really. There were no parts to be played by a somewhat androgynous young man. this was before Angels in America or Torchstone Trilogy or any of these plays that came out afterwards. So when I just wasn't cast in any play, I think I'm actually a rather pragmatic person. And so I at a very young age, assessed the situation, so that if I'm not being cast in university theater because I'm too odd, eccentric, or gay, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to have a hard time in the commercial world, professional world. And then I also came to the rather pragmatic notion that there weren't any roles that I particularly wanted to play. So, but I'd always been writing. It was always part of my life. I just didn't. I think my being stage struck somehow. I don't know what the word I'm thinking of. Just superseded my writing interest, and so it wasn't until I was at the very advanced age of 19 that I realized, well, I may just have to write roles for myself, where I can, if there's something unique about me that maybe makes me unemployable to other people, then maybe this is actually my tip, because it's what makes me unique.
And then you wrote a play there, and I guess appeared in it, and that kind of started getting you some attention, even on campus, at that stage, before you started reaching out off Broadway.
It was senior year, so I was going to be out of there soon. No, I wrote this play, and I was able to, through various circumstances, put it on in the kind of the big campus auditorium, and I guess it made a splash in its audacity, but it was more of a personal thing that, that play didn't suddenly become a career move. It just validated to me that, this is who I am, and this is the direction I should try to pursue.
Were you in it as a woman? Were you in the show? Was it already? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was just a little play about a traveling freak show, and very youthful play. And I wrote the two leads for my best friend, roommate, Ed, and I, and it was a pair of Siamese twin showgirls who squabbling sisters, and they're attached at the waist, and so we were.
Now wait a minute. Let me ask you, Charles.
We were in drag, and so it was the first time that I ever played a female character, and it felt very, very natural, and I thought that's where my initial gifts lay. That somehow when I got into drag, even the word drag for me, it's a loaded one. When I played a female character, because honestly, the trappings of costume have never been as important to me as they are as other people think they are. Okay. I've done played a lot of female characters in readings and things, or radio shows where I'm not in costume. Sure. It's something. My being able to channel the feminine in me, something rather profound, and is not really just predicated on me wearing a wig or putting a lot of makeup on. I can do it without it. So
now, may I ask you, and apologies if this is a little bit personal, but I am kind of wondering: do you think there is a connection between losing your mother so young, and then channeling all these women as part of your career and as part of your creative and emotional life? Do you think there's any or it would have happened anyway because you love the movies and so forth?
You're absolutely right. I think you're very insightful. Okay. It really is true. And and I honestly, for years, when I started my career, this was in the 80s, it was all a very different world, and so pre-RuPaul and all that, I was quite defensive when people would interview me about why I got into drag, or ask me about drag. I was very defensive, and usually gave this flip silly responses. Oh, I've got great legs, and I know how to use them. I reread some of these old interviews, and I'm just horrified at how silly I am. But back then, we just didn't want, my contemporaries and I we wanted to be taken seriously as professionals and didn't want so if somebody called us a drag queen in print, we got all upset, that they weren't thinking of us as actors and writers. But I see as I've grown older that it's much more complicated than that, and that yes, my being able to so relate to female role and character goes beyond just interest in old movies, but that the women in my family were so fascinating, and I guess I don't know. I've spoken to other people who've lost a parent when they're very young, and it kind of marks you and stays with you forever. And many of the choices that you make are influenced by the loss of that parent. And so certainly my work as a writer often, the stories are often involving a search for a mother, and so I think, yes, in the kind of women I tend to play who are rather elegant and strong but vulnerable, certainly show the of the women in my family, both my mother and my aunt particularly.
And by the way, you mentioned Auntie Mame. I believe at one point you got the chance to play Auntie Mame in a Jerry Herman musical revival somewhere. How did that go?
Well, that was very interesting. It was actually the non-musical that I did called Auntie Mame.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was later the big musical Mame. Now, the story has kind of been a motif through my life, and I always wanted. I loved that movie with Rosin Russell, and I always wanted to play the part. And I did a series of these big fundraisers for the Actors Fund of America, big all-star readings on Broadway of the play, and we had all sorts of marvelous people in it. And then that kind of led to us doing actually a 2-week summer stock tour of the play up in Algonquin, Maine, and then Sag Harbor. And it was interesting. It was a very good production, but it was funny that when we did the one-night events where the whole audience knew that movie by heart, and it was just such kind of a circus and thrilling. But when we did the actual production for people who didn't necessarily know that movie, a lot of the comedy was kind of a bit dated today, and I don't think it would revive very well.
Well, let me ask. That also begs the question of you do you have? Oh, sorry. What?
I was just glad to get it out of my system, so I played the part, and it was a rather emotional thing for me because I certainly identified with the story.
But do you have a hankering? Will we ever see you maybe take on, I don't know, Mama Rose or Daisy or Violet Hilton? Do you have a desire to be in other either women's roles, or now that the women are playing men's roles, like Glengarry, Glen Ross, do you have a hankering to do that as a woman, or you rather do your own stuff most of the time?
I prefer doing my own work, but the trouble is with some of these famous titles that you're mentioning, the rights holders, whether it's the original authors or after they're gone, their legal estates are very tough, and most of the time won't let cross-gender casting happen. With Auntie Mame, it was a real problem. The original authors were all dead, and it's basically a law firm who aren't really familiar with people in the theater necessarily, and certainly weren't influenced. Didn't know me, so the rights were denied. But my partner at the time, he had wrote a wonderful biography of the original novelist Patrick Dennis, who wrote the original novel Auntie Mame that the play was based on. I don't know if you're following that. And anyway, we had become friends with Patrick Dennis's children, and so they were very helpful in convincing the estates of the adapters that I would give a respectful performance, and so I got the permission. But yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, someone here mentioned that. Have you ever thought about doing Victor Victoria? Because that would be a fun one for you to take on, as it were, if you think about it.
Around. There's a lot of flipping around. Yeah. I don't know. I'm in an odd place right now. I'm in my mid-60s, and I just came off of doing this exhausting run of this play of mine, The Confession of Louis Dare. We did it, and it was not a long run. It was only 7 weeks, but it was a huge part, and it just wore me out. And I don't know. I may never do a play again.
What?
People don't believe. But I don't know. I think it's very likely that I'll focus on other things. I don't think people really understand, who are not in the theater, just the stamina that's required to do a show 8 times a week and twice on Saturdays and twice on Wednesdays. It's a real tough one. You have to be in great shape. Because the thing is, I'm like, a lot of people think, well, hey, you're only working for 2 hours or something like that. Quit your complaining. But most jobs that people have in a 2-hour stretch, it doesn't require constant concentration for every second. There are rest periods if you have a job anywhere else. But when you're in a play, and if you're the star of a play, every second of those 2.5 hours, you are focused on what your next line is. There's no break. Even in the 15-minute intermission, you're rushing around, getting into a new costume, and thinking about what your lines are for the next scene. It's a young person's game, I think. So I don't know. I'm really seriously at a interesting place in my life, and I'm thinking that maybe I won't appear in plays anymore, and find I'm hoping to make another movie. That Carl and I are doing, and now things are so different too that you can make a movie with your cell phone, and things are streaming. It's very different from even when I made those couple movies 15 years ago, and there's books to write, and
can I ask you also at one point wrote a novel? Do you have another novel in you?
Maybe you never know. So I'm not close, shutting the door and becoming a recluse. But I just think that there are other things I might want to do besides live performance.
Wow. Now I do want to roll it back. I do still want to talk about the theater because you've done so much of it, even if, God forbid, you don't do any more of it. But let me ask you, here's another Wikipedia-related question. At a certain point early in your career, you appeared with the ridiculous theatrical company, the Charles Ludlam thing, the Everett, which are tremendously important in setting the groundwork for the type of work that, at least early in your career, you were doing. And yet, there's an intimation that it wasn't a good experience. Was it not?
Well, how did it start? Well, first of all, Charles Ludlam was this extraordinary, brilliant figure, and much more influential to the theater than most people who've never even heard of his name would know. I mean, just the whole element of camp and gender casting and gender-free casting, all that really leads back to Ludlam. Even though he worked in a really small world of off Broadway, but he had his own company, the Ridiculous Theatrical Company, and kept that going for a number of years, and yet still he died in his mid-40s. But he was a great idol of mine. I remember just reading about him when I was a teenager and going to see him in plays, and his example just opened up a whole world of imagination and of possibility in me that I could see that yes, if I was that there could be a career in me being absolutely true to myself, because this is what he accomplished. So he was an enormous influence. and idol of mine, and I just kind of worshipped him. And he was just a brilliant performer and a wonderful comic writer. And the fact that he built his own door and walked through it.
Right,
you know,
but
and
you got to be part of. Did you ever appear with him, or was he already gone by the time you were in the show? No, you were what?
Well, I'm dragging this out a bit. Yeah, actually, so what happened was, I met him. I was just out of college. I met him, and I had started performing as a solo performer, writing these. I was not in drag. I was doing all these writing these solo plays where I played all the characters, male and women, without changing costume. They're almost like solo screenplays. And anyway, I got him to see me perform one night in a cabaret room, and he gave me the opportunity of doing my solo play at his theater, where he was in repertory as a late show. I did Friday and Saturday nights at 11 for a couple weeks, and it was a very generous offer he gave to this totally unknown young person. So I was kind of in his orbit briefly, and then since I was around, he was in repertory. They did different play every few weeks, a different one. And they were doing a play of his called Bluebeard, and suddenly he called me up one afternoon, all worked up, that a girl who was playing a very small part at the end of the play of Hecate, the goddess of hell. Suddenly there was a family emergency and she had to leave town, and would I go on at night? It was a very small part at the end of the play, and he said, just pick up the script at the box office. I lived around the corner, and learn the lines, and you'll just go over with the stage manager, no direction. And so, I was very young, and I was thrilled to be part of it all. So on I went, and somehow that was kind of enough for me. I did, a handful of performances, and he was a complex, volatile, fascinating guy, and I never, it was never a dream of mine to work with him or to collaborate with him or anything like that. Really, I basically just wanted him to think I was talented.
Which he did, obviously.
I didn't want to be friends with him. I just wanted him to think I was talented. That was all. There was no ambition to go further. And then seeing him up close, it's like all of us. He was complicated, and I got it out of my system. But I've stayed friendly with his great partner and
Everett Quinton, right?
Yeah, Everett Quinton. We've stayed friends.
Oh, that's good. So.
Yeah. And in fact, not that long ago, maybe 2 years ago or something, we did a one-night reading of Charles's play, his version of Camille, that he was so brilliant in. It was one of the first things I saw him do, and Everett directed me, and I played Charles Ludlam's role of Marguerite Gautier.
Wow.
It was an exciting night, and I felt I'd come a little bit full circle.
That is love. I love hearing stories like that. By the way, we're talking with Charles Busch here in the neighborhood, the author of so many plays, and hopefully author of more plays, even if he doesn't appear in them necessarily. I think you will. You're just in a down mood like we all are right now. You'll come out of it. But let me ask you this, Charles, which some people may not even know or realize. You, like me, are a Yidlach. Who knew this? What is your Hebrew name?
Well, I was raised with absolutely no religion at all, so I don't have a clue. I'm one of the most goyish Jews ever, and in fact, the only religion I know is just from watching old movies as a kid, and so I loved any kind of biblical epic, Ten Commandments and all that, but I really was more infatuated with all the Catholic movies, Song of the Dead, and anything with Jesus in it. And I don't know, it was a very odd thing. It just all seemed so romantic, those stories. But yeah, I just wasn't raised with any kind of religious background at all.
Okay. I was just curious about that because I'm always happy when someone who is talented and does creative and wonderful things happens to be of the tribe And I'll still consider you of the tribe, even though you're atheistic. Well,
And I've also written, as funny as, my writing career has gone back and forth between, kind of camp movie inspired comedies and also Jewish sitcoms. Because I guess in a way, one of the things I'm most known for is a play called The Tale of the Allergist's Wife, which was my one big Broadway hit. That Linda Lav and Michelle Lee did in 2000.
And Tony Roberts, yes.
I was nominated for a Tony for Best Play, and anyway, so it's very, very much about a Jewish Upper West Side Jewish family, and I guess even though my family was so agnostic, whatever, and I just knew that milieu so well. Not even necessarily from my family, but from just the people that I'd observed all my life, and it was.
Well, if you were living in New York and staying with your aunt and going to Broadway shows and going to clubs and being around all these Jewish and watching these old movies where the heads of the studios were Jewish, it was inculcating in you somehow anyway, even if it wasn't a directly religious synagogue thing,
Yeah, I grew up in Westchester when I was very young. It was everybody at a certain point, wherever I lived, everybody was Jewish, and everybody had the same political opinions. It's a big shock to me when I went to Northwestern in Evanston, Illinois, and when I first started meeting kids my age who had conservative points of view, and girls my age who were against the ERA. And it was just such a shock to me because I grew up just 100% surrounded by
left wing and of course, and almost communistic level Jews from the old school, from the Emma Goldman school, of course.
And my aunt who raised me was, certainly very, very progressive politically. The Roosevelt Democrats.
Hey, by the way, one thing that we didn't get to talk to, but that's kind of a fun, is that before you made it, as it were, as a playwright and actor, you had a whole series of, day jobs, difficult jobs, things like that. Did you actually draw kids' portraits at bar mitzvahs?
Yeah. No, I've got this, I write and I act, but I've got this third talent that I was just kind of born with, that I can draw people. I just always had this third talent that didn't really interest me that much. It was just kind of a gift that I had, and I could take pleasure of it. Mostly when I was a kid, I was just drawing portraits of Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra. But then I got into, when I moved into with my aunt in 1968, I got into the High School of Music and Art as an art major. So I was always taking drawing classes and all that. And then when I was during my 10 years of real struggle before I could earn a living in showbiz, the best way I could earn money was as a quick sketch portrait artist. And so I used to work at, I did 2 summers on the boardwalk in Wildwood, New Jersey, and or the New York Renaissance Fair. I did 5 summers there. It was very lucrative because I got paid in cash. And so I could, back in the 80s, if I could make $350 tax-free in cash for 5 weekends.
Hey, it's more than I make as a rabbi, let me tell you. I'll take it. That sounds pretty good to me even now. Oh, my God. But let me ask you, there's also a thing on Wikipedia, and we're always checking these things, that says at some point you even did sports handicapping?
Wow, is that really on my Wikipedia page, really?
That is on there.
Wow. There was a period when I was, my 20s were very difficult because I just could not earn a living doing what I was doing.
Most of us can't in our 50s, so, it's not, acting at 90% unemployment even in the bad times. So.
Well, I was very determined. I was insisting upon that I would not ever take a full-time job outside of my field, and that I had to somehow piece together a living freelance while I was trying to book my solo act, which is what I was doing in those days. Anyway, so it led me to many adventures, and one of them was that there was an older man that I was seeing romantically who had a lot of other young struggling artists in his life, and so he had a sideline of a sports phone where people would call in, and the people on the phone people we would give hot tips on who to bet on in hockey, baseball, football, and soccer. And everybody in the phone room were all aspiring ballet dancers and actors, and it was gay down there. These pretty androgynous boys, and we all had to kind of butch it up on the telephone, to Geary for the Yanks, and it was very, very funny.
There is a play in that, Charles. You know that is a fantastic scene in a play.
At one point, a disaster almost struck one day when the ballet dancer in the phone room, he had to give a hot tip on the college football team from Villanova, and he pronounced it Villanova. Oops. Like it was a ballet dancer. We had to have the phone from him and try to that's Villanova.
But were you all making stuff up, or did you actually have notes where you were giving legitimate tips, or was it completely BS, like Glengarry essentially?
Oh no, it was very very legit. There were I'm not exactly sure how it all worked because I was just manning the phone, but there were handicappers, professional handicappers who would give us the information, which we would then give out to the people who paid, I guess, $100 a week for the service, and for a while there it was booming, and people were just making a fortune, but then like many things, suddenly the handicappers were not with the hot tips, and these obsessive gamblers were just losing their shirts. It was getting very ugly when they'd call up. Yeah, so what hot tips are you giving me now? It was difficult. All kind of business all went under. So but that was for a while. It lasted. It was a good gig. I got pretty good money, and then I started to touch on something a little earlier. So at one point, I searched for work as a quick sketch portrait artist. I saw an ad, and I think it was the Village Voice, maybe, for an agency called Rent-A-Witch that booked tarot card readers in Palmas. So I thought, well, you never know, maybe they could use my services. So I went to see the head witch named Barbara, and she looked at my portfolio and she said, well, I really have no use for a portrait artist. I book tarot card readers in Palmas. And then she suddenly got little eyes glinted with inspiration, and she said, unless, darling, you did psychic portraits. I said, what are they? She said, you will draw people as they were in their previous life. And so I said, okay. So she sent me to weddings and bar mitzvahs and birthday parties, anniversary parties, and I would set up my easel and I would draw Aunt Sheila as Nefertiti and Uncle Henry VIII, and I had interesting costume design, so I could pull it off. But I draw well, and so at a certain point, the customers would say, I just skip it with the history, just draw me as I am.
Just a nice portrait. But oh my God, it's hysterical the things people think of in order to, I won't say it's even a scam, because they're getting a nice little portrait anyway, but just what will pop into people's minds when they see a dollar sign at the end of it. It's quite extraordinary. My gosh.
To earn your living, doing what you love to do is the most precious thing in the world, and kind of rare, I think. Honestly, I think most people have to make the adjustment and get a job that maybe is not necessarily what they ultimately wanted to do, but then with imagination find a way of making it work and find deriving satisfaction from it. But I was fortunate that things worked out that I've been able to earn my living as a writer-actor all these years, but it was a real struggle. And but one way I kind of got through my 20s, taking all these different kind of crazy jobs, and cleaning apartments or there are a litany of them, selling hot typewriter ribbons on a telephone off a truck, and trying to pretend that they were from IBM. But I sort of thought that if I could think of every day of my life as being the star of my own sitcom, that would make it more interesting. Because I think a lot of young actors, or when they would take their day job, would think of themselves as a different character somehow. But for me, I thought if I stayed true to my own rather whimsical persona, it would be sort of interesting to see how I affect my surroundings. And that was kind of fun for me. So I threw myself into many bizarre places. I was a receptionist in a zipper factory briefly, and it was interesting just to see how, since I wasn't the typical receptionist in a zipper factory, how do I affect my surroundings. So all of that was very interesting to me. But it was over.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about working in a zipper factory. You have to do things on the fly. Little comedy right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Right now.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You just came up with that just right now.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. We've been talking with Charles Busch. I have one or two more quick questions if you have a little more time with us, because we're having such a fun chat with this tremendously creative and talented person. Your one Broadway credit is Taylor the Allergist's Wife, but were you also involved in the musical Taboo? About, that starred Boy George and was about I forget the guy's name, but the guy who dressed up in what was his name?
Lee Bowery.
Lee Bowery. Yeah. So how were you a rewrite guy, or what was your task on all that?
I'll tell you, it's an experience that it's up there with my mother's death and my heart surgery. It's one of the least pleasant elements of my life. It's very interesting people involved. Yeah, it was a musical called Taboo, and it was sort of a hit in London. But in London, it was done in a kind of site-specific kind of club, and it was all about evidently in the early 80s there was a youth movement. It was fashion and performance called the New Romantics, and Boy George came out of that milieu. And anyway, so he wrote a musical with a fellow named Mark Davies, a soap opera writer, and they wrote this show, and it was successful in London. And Rosie O'Donnell went to see it, and she had just come off of her talk show, and she just loved the theater so much, and so she loved Boy George, and so immediately she got this idea that she was going to become a Broadway producer, and that she would produce Taboo on Broadway, a big Broadway production, much bigger than what they were doing in London. But she did not like the book to the show, and so she decided to hire me to write an entirely new story around the songs from that show. And so I don't know. At first, I didn't think it was a very good idea, but I didn't really know Rosie, but I got to know her, and I like her a lot. She's a great gal and very persuasive, and she was going to pay me a lot to do this thing, and I thought, well, maybe it could be a hit on Broadway. So I worked on it, and it was just kind of a miserable experience, not because of Rosie, but I know Boy George is a complex fellow, and I didn't think he was very helpful. So anyway.
Snap! Yeah, oh my gosh. Well, do you have a specific or any kind of anecdote of Boy George being not so nice? Did he really want to hurt you?
Yeah, really. just, there really, we went with the whole show. We went at it in a screwy way. Broadway musicals are very complicated, and usually they're numerous workshops and productions before something goes to Broadway. And this was all done very fast. So we were kind of creating the show in rehearsal practically, and we sort of, it was, when you do, when you're in previews for a Broadway show, you can only rehearse the actors. You're constantly putting changes in to the very end until almost the last preview before the critics come. But the union, the Actors Equity Union, to protect the actors, only gives you some certain hours, limited hours they can work on, because they're also performing the show at night. Right. So anyways, you have to be very careful about figuring out where your battles are and how you want to use those 18 hours, let's say. So there may say, so we're coming to an end, of those hours, and then suddenly George decided that he did not like the end of the first act, and because he was in it too. It was strange. There was a young man, a very talented young man named Ewan Morton, who was playing the young boy George. The real boy George was playing this character of his mentor, Lee Bowery. So anyway, so George was in the show, and anyway, suddenly, it's like a couple days before the critics are coming, he announces that he hates the end of the first act, and he's come up with his own scenario of what it should be, and it was terrible. It was just terrible. And so and we really didn't have the hours to put it in. We still didn't have the end of the show really done that needed to be worked on. But he's like this intransigent kind of Buddha, sullen thing, and basically Rosie said, George won't go on stage unless we put these changes in. And I said, well, you're not going to like them. And she begged me, and she said, well, what are we going to do? I said, well, and I begged him. I said, really trust me on this. What we have is working. But he just wouldn't even, speak. So anyway, so I did the best I could, and I tried to rewrite the end of the act according to Boy George's, scenario. And it was awful, and really, I thought it was terrible.
Well, let me ask you though, Charles, did that make it, when the show flopped, did that make it easier for you to take, because then you could blame Boy George and then not your script? Because you could say, oh, if they kept what I had written, it would have done a lot better. So did that take sort of the onus off you? Is that was his fault?
No, the opposite happened. The opposite happened. The critics, the only thing they really liked was the music. It was Boy George's music, which he wrote with a named partner. But they liked the music and basically put the blame on me, that somehow I had wrecked up this show, the Success London. But I feel if they had seen the show in London, I thought even as screwed up as ours was, it was still, I think, an improvement. But it probably shouldn't have been on Broadway. The production in London was done in this kind of club, so that the expectations are different. With putting Taboo, which was supposed to be kind of edgy and anarchic, and putting it in this big Broadway house, the expectations are higher. So I can see where the critics were, had trouble. And yet the funny thing is, I came off it just thinking, oh, this show's terrible, and I'm embarrassed by it, and blah, 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 blah. But then I kept running into some very smart people who love the show. I'm going to drop a bunch of impressive names here. The people who love the show: Stephen Sondheim, Tony Kushner, Susan Stroman, people like that.
And you think they were not just, no offense, they were not just being nice, but they legitimately, okay, I'm just...
I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I know Sondheim a little bit, and I saw him at the theater when he was watching it, and when it was over, I kind of ran into him, and he goes, "Oh, I loved it." I said, "You did?" And he said, "Yes." Because it's about something, and it's music that I don't particularly think I'd like, but I loved it. I wept. I said, "Were you weeping for the state of the American musical?" And he said, "I really liked it." So I thought, okay, I better keep my mouth shut then. But yeah, I mean, all these very intelligent people seem to love it. So I guess I should just, think, well, I guess maybe we didn't fail as much as I thought. But it's very hard. It's very hard. I find it hard to divorce the emotions surrounding a production from its quality. And on one hand, you can be very sentimental about something that was a great pleasure to work on, that and think it was better than it was, and then the opposite, to be very harsh on a project because it made you so miserable.
Well, let me ask you, and we'll make this the final question for our delightful guest in the neighborhood, Charles Busch. I would ordinarily tell you, well, you can go see Charles playing at this club, or go see his play. At the moment, obviously, you can't really see him anywhere except his apartment, but you can get Die Mommy Die and Psycho Beach Party. Those are available, I guess, on streaming services, or if you have them on DVD. And where else can people kind of enjoy what you've already done, if not what you're working on right now?
Well, there's a wonderful thing called Audible. They do. People can listen to plays and stuff, and there's a group actually, LA Theater Works in LA, which has an incredible catalog of recorded audio versions of plays. I've done a number of them, and they do them with wonderful casts, and I've done a number of my plays for them on radio, and they're all available. So if you go to latheaterworks.com or .org, I don't know, whatever, look it up. They've done Die Mommy. We recently just did Die Mommy Die for the radio, and I've done my play The Divine Sister, Allergist's Wife, and we ended up doing this play I just finished, The Confession of Lily Dare, and it's cool doing it on radio with all the sound effects. So people should go on that site.
Check that out, LA Theater Works. Find their website. And also you have a website of your own, which is?
CharlesBusch.com.
And remember, that's Busch with a C. It's not like the horrible presidents. It's Busch, B-U-S-C-H, like the half-decent beer. CharlesBusch.com. So, Charles, before I let you go, I want to have one more quick question about you, where one of the things that's you about all your work overall is saying that you have this balance of both elegance and vulgarity. I think that's a quote of yours. Do you believe in that? Is that basic? I mean, to me, that's what life is. I'm more vulgar than elegant, that's for sure. But is that important to you, that duality?
Yes, I think so. I think you want both a mix of the two. I think it kind of makes for a nice balance, because you don't want to be so hoity-toity elegant that that just I don't know, that could be very obnoxious. I think you want to live in that, with be able to just be a little more earthy and with it. At the same time, I don't know if you want to just be constantly just making fart sounds or something.
Oh, I like that. I could live with just fart sounds for a very long time. Trust me. I mean,
most people are mixing elegant and the vulgar, and it's just a different degrees, different bounds.
Well, here is hoping that Charles Busch will continue walking that balancing act and all the work, whether it's in movies or is continuing to write plays, or God willing, even still appear in them, and all the other stuff that Charles Busch is working on. It just remains for me to say what a joy it has been talking with you. I hope you will come back at some point soon to talk about more of your work. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in wishing Charles Busch continued good health and continued great work and shalom to you.
Well, shalom to you. It's been lovely chatting with you.
Likewise, shalom. Charles Busch in the neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, he says he's an atheist, but no, he's Jewish. And what better way to take us out of this segment than to play him singing that delightful ballad, Touch Me in the Morning. So it sounds like what I do with my prostate. Here he is.
Touch me in the morning, then just walk away. We don't have tomorrow, but we had yesterday. Wasn't it me who said nothing good's gonna last forever? And was it me who said let's just be glad for this time together? Nothing hard to tell me that you've given all you can give. I can understand you're feeling this way. Hey, everybody's got their life to live. Well, I can say goodbye in the cold morning light, but I can't watch love die in the warmth of the night. If I've got to be strong, don't you know I need to have tonight when you're gone, till you go. I need to lie here and think about the last time you touched me in the morning.
A bit of Charles Busch there singing when he is doing his cabaret thing, and I'm sure he will again. By the way, do not do what I am doing right now. I am drinking from the same mug that Rabbi Saul Solomon was drinking from. That in these COVID times, yeah, I'm absolutely wrong. I know I'm going to get probably not COVID-19, but Tay-Sachs or something from the rabbi. But his coffee is so delicious that I couldn't help myself. But folks, the rule of thumb for the next couple of weeks, don't do as I do as I say. I, by the way, am Dave Lefkowitz, the name of the program, Dave's Gone By. My darling and adorable wife Joyce has been helping us out with the show. I thank everybody who's been tuning in, whether to hear the show itself or to hear Rabbi Saul's interview with Charles Busch. Remember, if you missed all or part of it, either the early part of the show or part of the interview, we archive everything. We sure do. Whether you want to watch the archives right here on Facebook after the show's over, or if you want to give it a day or two and go to our website, davesgoneby.com. davesgoneby.com. We have last week's show, the show from 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, 8 years ago, going all the way back to our very first program in October of 2002. Most of those, like the first, like 13 and a half years, were audio only. In recent times, obviously, we've been doing these Facebook things and video, which has been fantastic, but it's all there. All these interviews we've had with wonderful people, all the skits we've done, the segments, they're there for free. So if you're looking to fill your hours when we're all being shut-ins and cloistered like this, davesgoneby.com is a great place to go. We've also been uploading our recent archives, the video and audio, to archive.org, which is this fabulous website, like a not-for-profit, that is just trying to save audio and media for people. So I've been listening to old Vic and Sade episodes on there, and like goon shows and things. So Dave's Gone By is there too, for at least the past 2 years. So check that out, or if you're one of these people, I was going to say, who likes to listen to podcasts via audio because you're going to the gym, or you're going on a bus. I'm sorry, I can't help that. Or on going on an airplane or in a bus or a train, and you just want to hear the show, the audio only, we have podcasts on Castbox.fm. Castbox.fm, but I realize now nobody's going anywhere, so you might as well watch the video. It's kind of cool. We were looking at some video of a PowerPoint or lecture thing that was being done online, and you could actually see the people who were watching the lecture. And one of the people there was on either running in place or on an exercycle. And you can do that. You can do that by going to our website, davesgoneby.com. Remember, you can contact me by going to davesgoneby@aol.com. I still have AOL and I still get emails. davesgoneby@aol.com, or check our Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2, Radio Dave and the number 2. If, by the way, you want to find out more about Rabbi Saul Solomon, do check out his website, shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com. This is the place where you can watch the stage show. He has done a stage show. As a matter of fact, Rabbi Saul told me after the segment with Charles Busch that one of the things he regretted when he took the early version of Shalom Dammit, his stage show, and cut it down to a one-act play, he missed the 10-minute intermission, which was his diarrhea time. So it became much more difficult to do his show as a one-act.
I think Boy George made him change the ending.
And Boy George made him change the ending. So that was just so difficult for Rabbi Saul. But seriously, if you want to see the full version of Shalom Dammit, An Evening with Rabbi Saul Solomon, it's at his website, shalomdammit.com, as are the 10 hilarious episodes of the TV show that he did on Long Island cable television about a decade ago. It's called Shalom Dammit, Rabbi Saul Solomon's Peace, Love, and Acid Reflux Hour. They're all there. It's all free. They're linked to YouTube clips of the entire shows, shalomdammit.com. And we certainly thank the Rabbi for being with us in the neighborhood on this Saturday, March 21st, 2020. It's our 738th episode of Dave's Guy, with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my wonderful wife, Joyce, and all of you, all the people who have been tuning in, Marcus, and oh my gosh, Ben. What a great thing to see Ben. We'd love to get him on the show, actually. He has a book out, a brand new book of, I guess you call it a graphic novel. We're going to try. I know he's kind of a shy guy and may not be into it, but I want to contact him and see if he'll be on the show. I can't, there's another guest that we're trying to get in the next couple of weeks I can't mention, but whether we have guests or not, it's great that you're here with us every Saturday from 9 until noon Eastern Time or thereabouts for Dave's Guy. Now you figure, oh my gosh, it's almost noon. We should be ending. We're not. You don't have anywhere to go. I don't have anywhere to go. And by the way, you're welcome, Stan. I'm not sure why you're saying thank you, but you're welcome. Here's the deal. We still have a couple of segments to do for you. Don't forget the Colorado Limerick of the Damned coming up. But before all that, I don't know if my cousins, Jeff and Cynthia, are here. I don't know if my cousin Rick is still here. Do say hi if you are, because I want to do our Today, Yesterday quiz. This is kind of more interactive-y. So those of you, anybody who's watching, feel free to be the first to chime in with your answer. Just type it right in the message box on Facebook, and everybody can play against you, and you can play against each other in this trivia quiz. The way it works is very simple. I ask a trivia question about something that happened in history on this date, on March 21st. And so I'll give you time to answer, and then I give the answer. So Stan, stay with us. Stan, you've always been great about being interactive with the show. Hang with us, Stan, and see if maybe we can play against you, Stan. See if you can answer these trivia questions in our quiz, which we call Today, Yesterday, because today is March 21st. What happened in yesteryear on that date? So let's bring it up to just play the intro music. Think of it as Trivial Pursuit that's even more trivial than the game itself. Oh my gosh. Oh, I got a message from Ben. who say, I'd be happy to talk to the rabbi about my new book on the history of dairy restaurants. So that is a deal. Ben, after the show, I'll contact you on Facebook and we'll set it up because we would love to have you on the program. I've known this guy for many, many years. He's a friend of a mutual friend. So, yeah, it would be absolutely
Only
lovely.
if he draws some cartoons about it.
Yeah, Ben, you have to promise to draw the rabbi.
Oh, yes.
And include him in your next series. But he has to have a cameo in every one of your future books. I'm kidding.
He can be somebody in a store waiting online and fetching.
There you go. So, what did I want to say? Oh, but now we're playing, and Ben, you're welcome to play along in the trivia game as well. So everybody, feel free to chime in, see if you can be the first with the answer, and see if it's the correct answer. I have my musical. Oh no, where's my xylophone? I have it. I've got my xylophone. And Joyce, you can also play along, but I ask you to not mention the answer if you think you know it.
I face cream, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
Can you
Here
see
we go.
my face cream?
You want to show everybody?
No,
Okay. So it's time. It's quiz time, ladies and gentlemen. We know there's an answer. It will also help if I actually have my paperwork. There it is.
Papers are good.
Our yesterday quiz for March 21st in history. Let us begin with 1940. Sometimes we go way further back than that, but our first question has to do with 1940.
Okay.
Premiering today in Miami is Rebecca, a classic Alfred Hitchcock flick about a young wife who worries that she will never live up to the memory of the old wife. Which actress played the title character?
I'm cheating.
Good one for old movie buffs. I know, like, if Charles Busch were watching, he would know this answer like in 2 seconds. Feel free, Charles, if you're watching, or anybody else. That's the question. In Miami, on this date, March 21st, 1940, Rebecca, the Alfred Hitchcock movie, premiered. It's all about this wife, this young, beautiful wife, who comes into this household and then is expected to live up to the memory of the previous wife. So, what actress played the title character in Rebecca? And I'll do my little fake Jeopardy music. La 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 ba da 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 la da da bum bum ba tum pum pum tum tum pum pum. And I'll give it a couple of extra seconds because I know we have a delay, and I know that we have a lag time here between what's actually coming out and when you guys see it, and then when you can type your answers. So we do give that a little bit of a lag. And by the way, it's 12:03 in the afternoon Eastern Time here in the neighborhood. We're doing our yesterday segment. Is Potato playing? I don't know. Was it? Let me guess. Wait. Was it Sarah Bernhardt? No, it's not her. But that's not a bad guess, Potato. Very, very good. Anybody else want to take a crack at?
I don't know.
Oh, and Claudia from my high school just joined. Welcome, Claudia. So, Stan? No, not chiming in. Ben? Or anyone
Rosie
else?
O'Donnell.
Cynthia and Jeff.
Rosie
Joyce
O'Donnell.
says Rosie O'Donnell. Was it
George?
Was it Boy
Elton
George?
John.
Well, it wasn't Elton John. Who else? Any other gay musicians you want to plug in there?
Scooby-Doo.
Wasn't Bob Mould?
Scooby-Doo.
Was it Scooby-Doo?
Shaggy.
No.
Shaggy, the ultimate stoner.
I'm trying to think if I can give a hint. Not sure. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna give a count. I guess nobody wants to chime in or play, so I'm gonna have to give a. So the answer is to this Alfred Hitchcock movie that opened on March 21st, 1940. It was called Rebecca.
Rebecca Romaine Stamos.
It was not Rebecca Romaine Stamos. No, I mean she would have been like an egg then, or barely.
Her granny's granny.
No.
Betty Davis?
Starring, that's not a bad answer, but no.
Oh, Joan Crawford.
No, but your first name is correct.
Joan London?
No, it wasn't Joan London.
Joan Van Ark?
It wasn't Joan Van Ark.
Chachi Loves Joni?
It wasn't Chachi, and it wasn't Joan Miro. No.
Oh, you took my answer.
I took your answer. Oh,
Who
sorry.
was it?
No, it starring alongside Laurence Olivier as the husband, and Dame Judith Anderson as the evil, like, housekeeper Mrs. Danvers, was Joan Fontaine.
Ooh.
Joan Fontaine played Rebecca.
I believe it's pronounced Joan the Fountain.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. Well, she was youthful. Get it? I'm kind of a ponce for saying that.
Do it.
Bum, bum, shoo. All right, let's get on to our next question in our yesterday quiz.
Okay.
1945, March 21st.
It was a very good year.
Yesterday, 24-year-old Hannie Shaft was arrested and executed less than a month later. So she was arrested today and executed a month later. What was her crime?
Say it again?
24-year-old Hannie Shaft.
That was her crime.
On March 21st, 1945. That's kind of a clue right there.
I think she was wearing paisley and plaid together.
After Labor Day.
And white after Labor Day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those fashion police are cruel.
So on this date, Hannie Shaft was arrested and she was executed a month later. What terrible crime did this girl, really, commit?
She was a spy.
Maybe.
She was a spy who liked to hula hoop.
She was a spy who liked to hula hoop. No, that's
I know what she did.
Circular logic.
When she was watching a virtual chat, she liked to jog without a sports bra.
That's. And by the way, if anybody
she couldn't find her razor.
If any young women are watching this and want to do a circular while jogging without a sports bra, let me know, because I'll be tuning in. So here's the question. We had a few more people tune in just a moment ago. Great, welcome. But here's the deal. Here's the question again. 24-year-old Hannie Shaft was arrested on this date, March 21st, 1945. She was charged with crimes for which she was executed less than a month later. What did she do? All right, I'm gonna give it the countdown. Do you want to? Well, actually, you were really in the ballpark. Joyce, my darling wife, has answered that. Do you want to elaborate a little bit?
I think they thought she was a spy for the Soviet Union. A spy for Russia.
Well, think about the year though. March 21st, 1945, not 48 or 55.
Oh, for Germany. Hitler and Germany.
Actually, the sad part of this is you're in kind of still the ballpark.
I know what she did. She did not return her library books.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
And
I think that the wrapping was askew, and it just...
Yeah.
Firing squad.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. Actually, kind of was sort of firing squad.
Yeah.
What happened was remember, this was still towards the very, very end of the war, but the war was still going on.
Oh.
Hannie Shaft was known by the Germans, Hannie Shaft, as the girl with the red hair. Since she was a teenager, you're right, she was spying. She was also a Dutch communist who became a symbol of the revolt against the Nazis in Holland. And so she was spying on Nazis. She was stealing ID cards that she would give to Jewish people. While doing the hula hoop.
That's amazing.
Yeah. She also she graduated from doing like petty crimes against the Nazis to sabotage and assassinations.
Wow.
So she was a real serious resistance fighter.
That's my career trajectory. I'm working up to it.
Unfortunately, on March 21st, 1945, she was caught by the Nazis, questioned, tortured, and killed, found guilty, and then 3 weeks later, she was shot and buried in a dune along with 421 other resistance fighters.
Dune?
Yeah, they put it in like Bloemgarten in Holland.
Like a dune?
And the horrible thing about this is this happened 3 weeks before the armistice, and the Germans already were not doing anything like this. They weren't supposed to be killing her. They were trying to make peace. And they still found her and shot her because they hated her so much for what she did. And then eventually they dug her up, reburied her in a proper grave. She has statues to her all over Holland. Two more ironies about this, one of which is that she was a hero for a while, and then when all this anti-communist sentiment kicked in, they kind of tamped her down because she was a very serious Dutch communist. And then they're just saying, well, it was kind of a hero, but we don't want to talk about it. Until much, much later, like more recent years, they're celebrating her more. But this is the great thing. According to Wikipedia here, when Hannie Shaft was shot by German soldiers, one guy shot her and only wounded her. And she looked at them and she said, "I shoot better." And then somebody came up and shot her in the head.
There you go.
Yeah, German soldiers just didn't have a sense of humor back then. No. But anyway, that was the answer to our second question in our yesterday quiz. Heroic Hannie Schaft, who was arrested today back in 1945. Well, now let's have a much happier question. March 21st, 1945. Oh, excuse me, 1948. 1948. Debuting on radio today. I know Charles Busch was talking about radio before, and we certainly love radio here in the neighborhood. A radio question, a game show called Stop the Music, which was similar to Name That Tune, but actually predated it. Stop the Music debuted on the radio today back in 1948. It was so popular that after a season they moved to television, where it ran a couple of years. Both on radio and TV, it had the same MC, the same host. He's better known for going on to be the MC and host of the Miss America pageant for 25 years. Can you name him? I told you this was a happy question. So again, the question is, on radio back in 1948, this game show debuted called Stop the Music. And it was hosted.
Oh, by Dick Clark.
Wasn't Dick Clark, even though he's forever young.
Stop the music. What year was it?
You probably know this. 1948. No. Oh, no for searching, no for checking.
No, I'm trying to,
your thing froze, yeah.
The Rabbi Saul has commandeered your website. Al just joined. We got people joining, but
Welcome, Al. Maybe they can see your website stop, but maybe they just can there.
Look, so here you're stopped with your mouth open.
Oh, that's horrifying.
And here you're stopped in deep contemplation. So I don't know, and people are joining. Oh, wait.
Well, we're still streaming, we're still going live, unless I'm greatly mistaken. So.
Oh, I forgot.
What?
Stan said, "Thank you, Dave, for a great show."
Yeah, we acknowledge that. Thank you, Stan. I was hoping Stan and Ben and other people would play. So please chime in if you know the answer.
Difficult. Your quizzes are too complicated.
Well, wait, there's nothing complicated about this. Who is the guy who hosted Stop the Music and then went on to be the famous host of the Miss America pageant for 23 years? Who is most associated with, besides Donald Trump, who's most associated with Miss America and would sing the song?
Pat Sajak.
Here she, good guess, but no.
No, I can see him.
Here she is, Miss America.
Barry Manilow.
Not Barry Manilow.
Mary Banilow.
Wasn't Mary Banilow. I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
His birth name, nice Jewish boy.
Oh, Casey Kasem?
No, another good guess, but no. His birth name was Bertram Jacobson. Bertram.
He's the host.
The first name is kind of close. Bertram.
Bert Parks.
Ding, 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 ding. Oh, I put down a thing. But yes, ding, 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 ding. It was, of course, Bert Parks.
Or was it Beatrice Arthur?
No, it was not Beatrice Arthur. He hosted Stop the Music and then, of course, went on.
Stop the music. To
be the host of Miss America. And the sad part is, you were always dealing with things involving ageism and stuff like that. At one point, the Miss America pageant just let him go because he was too old.
Like, you're too old, buddy. We need a sex pot. Let's get that Ryan Seacrest. He does everything. Ryan Seacrest is a man whore.
What are you doing? I guess thrown out the air. Why are you saying that? Well, maybe he is. Anyway, on to our next question in our Today Yes quiz. We move on to 1956, March 21st. On that date, the Academy Awards were held. Tonight, back in 1956, with Ernest Borgnine winning Best Actor as the title character of this film about a lonely Italian-American butcher. Okay? There's your clue. So you probably know. If you know it, you know it already. At the Oscars today, Ernest Borgnine won the statuette for playing the title character of this movie about a lonely Italian-American butcher. Can you name the character and the film? I'll give you a couple of moments while I remind you what else can I remind you about? I told you about my email address, davesgoneby@aol.com. My Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2. I remind you of all the places you can watch the show. I'll give it another couple seconds, and then I will count it down. With a screenplay by Dragi Chayefsky, who also did it first. This was before it was a movie. It was actually one of these live TV shows. I think it was the Philco Playhouse thing. But in the movies, Ernest Borgnine played the title character in the film Marty. That was the name of the movie. Marty, the Italian American. What do you want to do tonight, Marty? What do you want to do, Marty? I don't know. What do you want? That famous, and actually, the movie won Best Picture that year. And I think it won a couple of other Oscars as well. And here's a little bit of trivia. When it was first like an hour-long TV thing, before they turned it into a movie, Rod Steiger played Marty, the Italian Butcher. But it was Ernest Borgnine who did it on film and won the Oscar. Moving on to our next question in our Today, Yesterday quiz, going up to 1963. It was, you'll probably know this one, babe. It was closing day for this prison.
Oh, God.
A mile or so off the shore
I know that one.
of San Francisco. Can you name it?
Studio 54. It was the white party, the rave.
1963, not exactly a party place.
It had a nickname. It had a proper name and a nickname.
Ooh.
No.
What?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, that's New York. Nope. Okay.
I'm swimming in this one, David. I'm
You
drowning.
are indeed.
You gotta help me.
Because it was a mile and a half offshore of San Francisco. Okay. A prison. It started as a military prison, and then they started putting some real serious heavy-duty, heavy-duty criminals in there and mob people like Machine Gun Kelly and Al Capone.
Machine Gun Kelly, he's the new rapper.
And here's a hint.
What?
Robert Franklin Stroud was one of the prisoners there.
Who that?
Well, he had a nickname. They gave him a nickname, in fact.
Wait, say it again?
Robert Franklin Stroud. A nickname that is associated with this prison off the coast of San Francisco. That was closed down a few years ago. But it was this isolated prison. That was the point. You had to get there by boat. They said you could never escape it because it was,
Is that true?
swim.
But was that true, or is that
No,
just
people tried to escape, and you could actually,
technically,
you could swim, but people were shot running away.
They swam going for Starbucks, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a Starbucks like 50 feet away.
In fact, there were 4 prisoners who were shot trying to just go out and buy hand sanitizer. It was really upsetting. But you got this one. You whispered it to me. So why don't you tell the crowd what prison closed?
Alcatraz. We went there. We saw Alcatraz.
Yeah, that's right,
on a tour.
Did we go physically in it, or we saw it on the boat?
I think we saw it from the boat because you were afraid you got locked up. You'd have to do bad stuff with your hiney.
Yeah.
I think you were
Did not want to do that.
You were afraid of hiney stuff.
I'm certainly not Boy George.
You yelled, "Not without my hiney," and you kept, you wouldn't, and then they wouldn't let you off the tour. They said, "You can stay in the van, Mr. Leftwood."
So well done, babe. You got it. It was 1963 that Alcatraz closed. And
I got 1 out of 1.
Robert Franklin Stroud.
1 out of 1.
No, you had another one. You got
The Spy, but I got part of it.
You got
the
Spy.
wrong.
That's right. Robert Franklin Stroud was the Birdman of Alcatraz. That's why that was kind of.
Oh, what did he do? Eat birds?
I don't know. I guess that'd be kind of a foul thing to do. That's comedy.
Playbill took your story about Hangman not opening.
Well, yeah. When they took my story.
Oh, there's a man. No, meaning they stole your idea. Oh, there's somebody petting a dog. We gotta do that. You have to have 5 minutes of dog petting, like calming. But Oofty has to face this way because the light will blind him.
Oh, I know. So, well, fine. We can hold him that way.
Can I get him for you?
Well, or we can pet our invisible pet, like the guy in. Oh.
You need some dog
time. We need some dog time as we're doing our Yesterday quiz here on Dave's Gone By. Meanwhile, I'll start the next question. March 21st, 1965. Blacks and civil rights advocates set out on the first of 3 marches in Alabama. What city did they start in, and what city was their goal? Okay, So today, yesterday, back in 1965, so I guess we're talking about, what, 45 years ago? Or is it? It's not 50, no, sorry, it's 55 years ago, excuse me. Civil rights activists, African Americans, they set out on the first of what turned out to be 3 marches through Alabama. What city did they start the march in, and what city were they going to end in? That's our next question in our yesterday quiz. And while you're thinking about that, let's have a moment of dogness. Yeah. This is, I mentioned him before, our 18-year-old birthday boy.
Just do petting.
Woofty goof. Let's put him into the, there we go. Oh, who's a good boy?
Very good. Shmush,
Who's a good sweet doglet? Yes, you are.
Yeah, we gotta clean his eyes.
Who's a happy birthday little boy? Oh, he's getting a stress yawn. Or is he a sleep yawn?
He's sleepy. Look at him. He's sleeping.
He's a little schlumpus. Yes. There he is.
His other eye's messy. Just gotta clean it.
How come we're not getting more views? We have a dog on camera. He's adorable.
Let me clean his face.
He's a real serious senior citizen now. Yeah. Just celebrating his 18th birthday 2 days ago. Come on. Let's give it up for Ufti while you're thinking of this, the answer to the question. And one more time I'll do the question. The first of 3 marches in Alabama happened today in 1965. It started in a place in Alabama, and it ended in another place in Alabama. Where are these 2 places? And by the way, we just got a happy birthday from Fred, saying happy birthday. So Fred, come on, chime in and type in some, play the quiz with us. Joyce is wiping our dog down because he's got schmutz all over him. This is good podcasting right here. Doesn't get better than this. Look at him. Oh, let's get under the chin.
Got a lot of schmutz.
Oh, yeah. Get all the milk off. Good boy. Good boy. And the dog, too. I said that to my wife because,
It's a little better.
Ah! Oh, anyway, that is our moment of oofty-goofness here on Dave's Gone By. Love you. Love you, lovely, lovely boy. Oh, what is this game? I have the sun. So, the answer to the trivia question is that if you know the movie that came out a couple of years ago, you know that the march started in Selma, Alabama, and the end goal was Montgomery, Alabama. That's where they wanted to stop. So they were going to have 1 march, but of course it turned into 3 because the first march ended in horrible violence. Thank you, Governor Wallace. So they were going to do another march all the way from Selma to Montgomery, but then they couldn't guarantee safety, so to save incredible amounts of bloodshed, Martin Luther King said, no, just go part of the way and go to a church and save yourselves. And then finally, LBJ commandeered and marshaled the National Guard and made the 3rd march happen peacefully, where they actually made it from one place to the other. And it was over the course of about 3 weeks that all this was going on. So yes, it was the march from Selma to Montgomery, and the first one started today, back in 1965. We have 3 more questions in our Today-Yesterday quiz here on Dave's Gone By. We move now to 1970, the year 1970. Vinko Bogataj, and I'm not, forgive me, I'm not saying something dirty here. Vinko Bogataj, a Slovenian skier, had a very bad day on the slopes in Oberstdorf, West Germany. Well, if you missed it, don't worry. You saw it over and over and over again on what weekly American TV program? Okay, so our question is, on March 21st, 1970, a Slovenian skier named Vinko Bogataj, I figured Bogataj would be from Colombia, but no, a Slovenian skier named Vinko Bogataj had a bad day skiing in West Germany. And if you weren't there in West Germany watching it, that's okay, because you got to see it again and again for years hence. Where did you see that? On American television. About that a little bit? How do you want to chime in on that one?
Say it again.
One more time. Vinko Bogataj, the skier, did not do well that day.
Oh, he fell off.
What did he do?
He fell off his skis and he hurt somebody, hurt himself.
Yeah. But how do we know about this? Why is it more known to us?
It was during the Olympics. No?
No, it wasn't the Olympics. It was actually not an Olympic thing.
I don't know.
But why do we all know this? And we've all seen it over and over again.
I don't know.
Oh, we have an answer. We have an answer from Friendy.
Oh, Wide World of Sports.
ABC Wide World of Sports. Because what would they do? You remember, even if you're not a sports watcher, you knew that the opening of this show that was on for many, many years, every single time, they would say, the thrill of victory. And they'd show all these clips of people doing different things and getting gold medals and climbing mountains and hurling and tumbling. And then I think it was Rick McKay or somebody like that would say, and the agony of defeat.
Wow.
And the agony of defeat had nothing to do with my feet. It had to do with this guy tumbling, hurling, going off the slope, and bopping into a fence and into a crowd. And that fellow was Vinko Bogataj. I think he hurt himself bad. He broke an ankle when he did it. But he did not die. And as a matter of fact, Vinko Bogataj is alive and well today. He never, his skiing career never quite recovered physically from it. But he's fine. And what's kind of funny is apparently he didn't realize, living in Slovenia as he did, that he became kind of this American icon. That whenever we think about it, we put on Wide World of Sports, there he was tumbling. Hey, that guy. And then he was invited 20 years later to appear on the 20th anniversary of Wild World of Sports' show. And he didn't know that he was something of a celebrity, at least visually, in America. And it just kind of shocked him. But yeah, Vinko Bogataj alive and well, apparently. So yay. You can come out of terrible, miserable defeats. We can come out of this COVID horror. We did come out of 9/11. Charles Busch did emerge from the wreckage of taboo. Yeah. So as they say in the Broadway musical Avenue Q, it's only for now. But for now, we're still doing 2 more questions in our Today, Yesterday quiz. We move now 10 years later to 1980. March 21st, 1980. Speaking of having bad days on television, this was a bad one for J.R. Ewing, played by Larry Hagman. What happened and on what show? Don't say it. So, see, some of our questions are harder, some are easier. They're probably all hard for people under 25, And if there are any girls out there who are under 25, I'm all hard for you guys. But thank you very much. Here's the question again. Bad day on TV. Bad day for J.R. Ewing, a character played by actor Larry Hagman. Why was it bad? And what show was he on when this bad thing happened? Okay, give it a few seconds. Please do chime in, whether it's Fred from Friendy, or Ben, or Claudia, or cousins Mark, or Cynthia and Jeff, whoever else wants to tune in. I'm surprised we don't have more of our usual regular viewers, because where the hell else could they be right now?
I know, that's a good question.
So I'll give it another moment or two. Potato, do you want to take a stab at this question? What show they were watching?
It was J.K. Rowling, and she got shot in the crapper.
Well, you're
partially right.
You've got some credit. You got partial credit, Potato. Yay! Yay me! What do I win? What do I win? I want ketchup. Give me ketchup. No, Potato, they don't. So we'll give you ketchup, but you don't quite win for that answer. Although part of your answer was indeed correct. I'm going to give it another second or two. Well, I'm going to give a countdown. So, hon, do you know the answer to this question of what happened to J.R. Ewing on TV on this date, and what TV program was it?
It was Dallas. Sorry, I had a little potato in my throat. It was Dallas, and it was J.R.U. and he got shot.
He got shot. He did indeed.
He got shot. And Bobby, his brother, was supposed to have been dead, but it was a dream or something.
Something like that, yeah. And by the way, do you know, I never even watched the episode, never watched the show. Do you know who did it?
Who?
Apparently...
Sue Ellen?
No, it was Kristen who framed Sue Ellen for it. They dragged it out like episode after episode, but it turned out to be Kristen was the real shooter who framed Sue Ellen to make it look like Sue Ellen did. Anywho, there's your answer. We got one more question in our Today-Yesterday quiz on Dave's Gone By. By the way, it's 12:30 in the afternoon Eastern Time here in the neighborhood. You're watching the 738th episode of Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. This is my adulting t-shirt, because we all have to be adults about this shut-in period that we're undergoing. And my life has not changed one bit. I mean, you know, I'm not working in my day job, thank God, for a week or two. But other than that, what am I? I'm sitting here in front of a computer talking to you people. I'm eating. I'm sleeping. I'm working on the web. That's it. This is my life hasn't changed. But anyway, 1995. Our last question in our Today-Yesterday quiz. March 21st, 1995, in Burlington, New Jersey, Governor Christy Todd Whitman kept a promise that she made when she was running for office. In exchange for Howard Stern's support of her candidacy, she had promised to do something for him. What
I don't want to know.
did she do on this date?
I don't know.
Okay.
What did she do?
Yeah. So that's our last question in our Today-Yesterday quiz. Christy Todd Whitman, before she became governor of New Jersey, she was on the Howard Stern show. She was kind of a popular guest there. And in order to maintain his support, he kind of forced her, in a way, to promise to do something if she became governor. Well, she won. She became governor. And on this date in history, March 21st, 1995, she kept her promise to Howard Stern. What did she do? Dum 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 dum. That's actually quite lovely and wonderful. All right, I'm going to give you guys another moment or two to think about it, to maybe chime in if you want to. No takers. Anybody remember this? Because I was a big Howard Stern fan and watcher or listener at this point. This is before he went. He was still on terrestrial radio, so he was the biggest thing in radio at this point. Everybody was listening and watching. Do you want to take a stab, Beb? Anybody want to take a stab?
She had to fart on camera.
No, but it kind of related in a way.
Oh, God, what?
And it was something that was good for New Jersey, in a way.
She had to give everyone free pass through the tunnel, like toll tunnel?
No, but you're kind of in the neighborhood.
Oh.
Not the neighborhood, but the neighborhood on this. Want to take one more crack? Cracking the operative term here.
She had to poop?
Meaning, what you're darn near in the neighborhood, and we have an answer from Friendly, by the way. Yeah.
Let's ask them.
And Friendly, they got it. Their answer is stop. I need to rest.
Oh, nice! Make a rest stop for Howard Stern.
Howard Stern was complaining that people on the Jersey or I-295. I don't know if that's the Jersey Turnpike. I-95 southbound,
the Jersey
you
Turnpike
just keep
is
going.
A sexual thing, isn't it?
Well, is it? You. But he said, hey, people need a place to do their thing. They can't get off the road, and what do? So he said, let's fix that up. Let's have a rest stop. And do it and name it after me. Do you promise to make this happen and name your toilet after me, Howard Stern, if you become governor? She said she would. And she did. So on March 21st, 1995, they had an official ceremony with a plaque honoring the Howard Stern commemorative rest stop on I-295 in New Jersey, and which is I think is really wonderful and really great. The problem is that only a few years later they closed it.
Why?
In 2003 There are two different reasons, apparently. One of which was in 2003, we were already under the George W. Bush recession, and they didn't want to clean it or take care of it or something like that. The other one was that people were going to this Howard Stern rest stop and doing things that had nothing to do with taking care of that kind of business.
No, they wouldn't know.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, yeah. Yeah. But anyway, indeed, that has been our Today Yesterday quiz for today, March 21st, 2020. How did you guys do? I wish more people had played along. I thank so much for Randy for typing in. But remember, please, I love this to be more interactive as we're trying to be and connect with each other. Oh, look at it. You can see my undershirt. Look at that. Cool. Sexy, huh? That'll bring the boys to the yard.
Oh my God.
Yeah, friendly for the win. There you go.
I said friendly wins.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, are we going to end our show right now after that? After talking about the Howard Stern toilet? No.
Probably never.
We have one more segment for you that we go right into the toilet with, usually. So get the children from the room, clear the decks.
Is this the book reading?
Oh, no, we're not going to do that this week. So we're already 3.5 hours into the show.
Hi.
I'm toast. I'm done.
Yeah,
but not before we do this segment, which is our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. This is where we go to a different place in Colorado, because that's where Joyce and I were living for many years. And for some reason, I started writing little Limerick poems about all these places. I thought I had like 60 or 70. I've got close to 100 now. Of these things.
You can make an airy book about them.
I'm thinking about it. I mean, wouldn't it be great to have a book of these where you have a picture of a place and the poem next to it? So it's like a little cute picture book with all these horrible, disgusting, disgraceful, crude, and awful poems about places in Colorado. I do like that idea for our Colorado Limerick of the Damned.
You're the poetry man. A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick. Rocky Mountain, Colorado, Colorado.
Yes, indeed, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned here on Dave's Gone By. And today's Colorado Limerick is kind of a place that is called, and there's actually a town called this.
I'm worried now.
Silt.
Silt?
Silt, S-I-L-T, Silt, Colorado. I think we can tell why it was named like this, but it's a town in northwestern Colorado, population of about 3,000 people. It has, and even though it sounds like silt, it's got hot springs there and a historical park. Apparently, it's really, really quite nice, and it's only minutes from White River National Park. So, yeah, all these wonderful places in Colorado I never got to see. But yes, the community itself was named for the silt deposits at the original town site. So, Silt, Colorado. But as I said, this is, even though we've got a terrible quarantine out there right now, this is the moment where you might want to push your children out of the house, out of your apartments, into the street, have them go play with the hypodermic needles and the gloves and the handy wipes that are out there, and then you can bring them back in a minute or two. Meanwhile, it's time for our Colorado Limerick of the Damned for Silt, Colorado. A succulent lady from Silt was physically perfectly built, for even the strongest, the widest, and longest could stick it in up to the hilt. That's our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, ladies and gentlemen, for Saturday, March 21st, 2020. Oh, Joyce, did you love that? Were you moved?
No, I zoned out. I was traumatized.
Well, yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Dave's Gone By here in the Daverhood with me, Dave
watching
Lefkowitz.
Gray's versions of you. It's like every incarnation of
Potato,
you.
Joyce, Oofty Gooft, and all of you who've been tuning in either silently, which is fine, or playing along, which is even better, or giving us thumbs up and hearts, which we love. That's all part of it. And the more interactive and the more back and forth you can be during these crazy freaking times, the better. we should, God willing, unless I die of the virus within a week, should be back next week for our 739th episode.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Of Dave's Gone By.
Can you imagine you've done that many?
You know, the horrible part, the part that leeches the joy out of my soul.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing it for all this time and not gotten famous, not gotten onto
you got people in the neighborhood, you got stuff going on.
I know famous people, which is great, but it's not the same as like being on a big 50,000 watt FM station or moving to
There's
television.
no more radio, Booba.
Of course, there's radio. There's still radio. There's NPR. There's
Didn't you know the song
Sirius XM.
Video killed the radio star?
Well, this video isn't killing anything.
You're killing it, baby.
I'm killing it on
That's
video,
right.
ladies and gentlemen.
DJ.
And yet I still love doing it. It's still important to me.
Because
I hope you enjoy
it's a
it.
creative expression outlet for you.
It is. It is.
It's your many hours and hours of freedom.
Yeah. I get 4 hours a week. Should be 3, but I'm going to get 4. 4 hours a week that are mine, that are in my own head, exploding for you, that I get to plan out, that I get to share and make jokes.
You get to wear fancy clothes.
Like this t-shirt that my wife got me. This is my adulting t-shirt. This is when I get to be in my life as opposed to everybody else's around me. This is special to me.
Oh, let's not be so melodrama.
It's the
this
truth.
Is how the weekend started.
It is the
Look
absolute
at
truth,
he
ladies and gentlemen.
farted.
What? Excuse me, what? Do we want to go there?
No.
What?
No.
Anyway.
Oh, I hear the dog barking.
Oh, is he? Right. Okay. Anyway, but the people who come into the neighborhood with me, I'm very, very grateful for. All the people who tune in, and especially today, got to give a big, big thank you to Charles Busch. Charles Busch, man, this guy who's done movies, this guy who's done a Broadway show, Tale of the Allergist's Wife, and several off-Broadway shows over the year. Remember that LA Theater Works has done radio versions of some of his plays, as Charles was telling Rabbi Saul Solomon. And you can go, you're all stuck indoors, go listen to some of them. Go listen to Die Mommy Die, or Tale of the Allergist's Wife, or a couple of the others that they've done. So it's the LA Theater Works website as a place to go see those. You can also check up on Charles Busch. His career, his website is charlesbusch.com, and it's spelled like the beer, not like the presidents. B-U-S-C-H, charlesbusch.com, for everything that he's doing and all the stuff that he has done, and more about his own life and all the things he's done, charlesbusch.com. And thank you also to our friend Beck Lee of Blitz Media. Beck Lee, he's gotten a bunch of guests for us over the years, and this is one of the biggest and the best that he's gotten us. So thank you, Beck, for setting all that up. Really appreciate it. Thank you to my darling and adorable and wonderful wife, Joyce.
Oh, wow.
For taking part in the show. Thank you, Potato. You're welcome. Thank you very, very much to Opry for appearing with us in the show. As I said, we should be back, God willing, and the creeks don't rise, next Saturday, March 28th, for the 739th episode of Dave's Gone By. I don't know who or if our guest will be, but maybe we won't have a guest, maybe we will. But either way, should be a fun show, because that's what we try to do for you every week here in the neighborhood. Any last thoughts to share with the folks out there in Podcastio Davio land, in and out of the neighborhood bay? Any
No, just be well and take a little time and do some self-care.
I couldn't have put it better myself. I'd probably say something sick and dirty, so I'd rather have you say that. Do self-care. Take care of yourselves, and if you can, from 6 feet away, take care of those around you too. And let's hope we will all be here, not coughing, not sneezing, not feverish, not stabby, painy, as healthy as ever, next Saturday in the neighborhood. Happy springtime, folks, and gone by.
Days gone by, days gone by, days gone by, there goes the neighborhood.
Thanks so much for tuning in on this Saturday. Seriously, be well, everybody. Follow, the most reasonable and smart protocols that are out there. Hopefully there won't be more, between now and then. And then will be a week from now, next Saturday, 9 to noon Eastern Time, right here on Facebook, right here in the neighborhood, and gone by.